Chapter 1503. What kind of power was the pagoda cannon? Who was the second page of Renaissance? Di Wantian knew this very well. After a few interactions, Di Wantian and Di Wanqing realized that there was something wrong with the 8th page of the pagoda cannon. However, he couldn't tell what was wrong. Furthermore, how could the 8 pages of the pagoda cannon be so easily replaced? At this time, the roots of the rotting body meat ginseng had already pierced through the walls of Di Wantian and Di Wanqing's hearts. He was preparing to turn them into blood vessels and seize the blood cores of Di Wantian and Di Wanqing. Di Wantian and Di Wanqing turned into 2 living storage batteries. Di Wantian's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Di Wanyi. These were Di Wantian's final words. Third sister, let these creation masters go. Once you become a Class 5 creation master and enter the tower cannon, the resource tower cannon will arrange for you. At this moment, Di Wantian came to a realization. When the small family was broken and there were no benefits to speak of. Di Wanqing only wanted to protect this family that he had hurt and taken benefits from. He was already a sinner of Biyao. This was undeniable. From now on, he would have to bear an eternal infamy. However, Di Wantian still hoped that he could atone for Biyao's crimes before he died. He also wanted to help his blood-related relatives one last time, so that they wouldn't fall deeper and deeper into the abyss. Upon hearing Di Wantian's words, a disdainful smile appeared on Di Wanmi's doll-like face. The creation master's body is just the source of my strength increase. What's the difference between them and spiritual energy? I just want to improve my strength. I joined the tower cannon because the second page of revival gave me a promise. From now on, Ta Dian will use the world's creation masters to support me and allow me to take another step forward. Let's go and see what kind of wonderful world is above Class 5 creation masters. Before Di Wanmi could finish his words, Di Wantian lost consciousness after Di Wanqing. It had become Di Wanmi's battery. When Di Wanmi had attacked Di Wantian and Di Wanqing, Lin Yuan had secretly used Morbius True Data. He examined the roots of Di Wanmi's rotting body ginseng. Sacred source name, rotten flesh ginseng, sacred source species, origin family / sacred source species, sacred source star grade, 7 star, sacred source type, wood function frowny face ginseng root wisdom, the extended ginseng root entangles into the target's body. After the target's spirit and soul are destroyed, the ginseng root can extract the target's knowledge and experience through the physical body and give the ginseng root the knowledge and experience. Withered ginseng abundant rain. When one's life force is about to be extinguished, one can nourish one's own life force by absorbing the life force of other creatures in the surroundings. Excessive life force can nourish one's mind and soul, allowing one's mind and soul to be at their peak. Flesh and blood battery. By fusing the ginseng roots into the blood vessels of the target that have the same energy as the ginseng root, the target will be able to recharge and store their own energy, lifespan, and vitality. At the same time, the modified flesh and blood battery will be able to withstand lethal attacks. After investigating, Lin Yuan understood the rotting flesh ginseng secret. He also understood how Di Wanmi used a creation master's body to construct a divergent path to become a Class 5 creation master. The rotten body ginseng's ability allowed Di Wanmi to pass through a creation master's body. Obtain the accumulated knowledge and experience from the creation master's spirit and soul. This knowledge and experience was the proof that Di Wanmi was confident in becoming a Class 5 creation master. A main road can be divided into countless forks, and if these forks are all gone, it will be very difficult. If he walked through all of them, he would be able to open up another path. As for the rotten body ginseng's second ability, withered ginseng abundant rain, it allowed Di Wanmi to be nearly immortal when there were living creatures around him. This was because Di Wanmi could rapidly absorb the life force of other living creatures in the surroundings to nourish himself. At the same time, it could allow Di Wanmi's spirit and soul to reach their peak state under the nourishment of life force. The withered ginseng abundant rain allowed Di Wanmi to become a perpetual motion machine that could fight forever. There was no need to worry that his consumption could not keep up with his replenishment. With Di Wantian and Di Wanqing as the flesh and blood battery, Di Wanmi had 3 bodies. His energy, lifespan, and vitality were all doubled. The rotting body ginseng was simply too powerful. It might not possess powerful offensive capabilities, but it could pave a smooth path for the contractor to become a creation master. It could also allow the contractor to not be limited by lifespan. The rotten body ginseng might not possess powerful killing power. However, Lin Yuan had never seen any other sacred source lifeforms possess such an ability and effect to benefit himself. Just now, when Di Wanmi was controlling Di Wantian and Di Wansheng, he had erupted with an aura that far surpassed Di Wantian's. The little black insect that had been summoned to paralyze Di Wantian, Di Wansheng, and the sky-splitting falcon had an aura that was comparable to Bai Yan's. Apparently, he had reached the peak of immortal realm. Fortunately, in order to hide it from Di Wantian and Di Wansheng, Di Wanmi did not obtain enough resources to improve himself. Otherwise, a Class 5 creation master would be able to raise his phase strength to the eternal realm. Di Wanmi looked at the creation masters below him and said, "Let's go. Now, you will become my bait. Remember, this will be the most glorious moment of your lives. Because in the future, all of you will become part of a Class 6 creation master." Di Wanmi's words caused a commotion in the crowd. Right at this moment, a clear and pleasant voice resounded. "I always thought that you were Huiyao's sinner. I didn't expect that I was narrow-minded. You are the sinner of the entire human race." The young man's clear and pleasant voice caused the current chaos to pause. All the creation masters present in Di Wanmi's eyes landed on the place where the voice came from. Crane Concubine stared at the young man beside her with her mouth agape. She did not know how good this young man's mental fortitude was. He could actually say such words at a time like this. Di Wanmi's red eyes landed on Lin Yuan as he snorted. "You have a sharp tongue. I'll start with you." Just as Di Wanmi was about to make a move, Lin Yuan did not choose to summon Bai Yan. He would then use Blue's faith possession and use the power of faith to enhance Bai Yan. This was because Lin Yuan would not be able to handle this matter. In such a narrow space, the aftermath of the collision between two immortal experts would kill everyone below the arch rank. Lin Yuan decisively crushed the night jade that Night Leaning Moon had given him. In an instant, the night spread, and the underground space that was dazzled by the strange fire lamp seemed to have fallen into a silent long night. The night was like a forge, suffused with a trace of coldness. The night was like the strongest barrier, blocking in front of Lin Yuan, who was standing at the forefront of the crowd. All the creation masters were stopped behind this black-tempered curtain of night. It was a woman in a black dress with a black veil covering her face. Like an eternal night goddess, she stepped through the night and quietly stood at the forefront of the crowd. Chapter 1504. The Night Empress waved her hand and released an even denser night. The night intertwined to form a layer of crystal wall, reinforcing the space behind her. Then, the Night Empress pointed her finger toward the sky. A touch of dark power came out of the Night Empress' fingertip. This dark power seemed to annihilate time and space. It made the entire world tremble under the Night Empress' finger. The wall, which was made of monarch-grade metal, sky-shattering purple gold, was like scrap metal. Under the Night Empress' finger, a big hole was opened. The noon light was warm and shone into the underground space that was nearly 800 meters deep. It made the panicking creation masters feel a trace of warmth. Originally, all the creation masters, including Crane Concubine, thought that they were going to die today and become Di Wanmi's nourishment. They didn't expect that a young man would actually summon one of the Night Empress of Huiyao through some kind of method. All the creation masters' faces revealed the joy of surviving a disaster and the excitement of seeing the Night Empress. Especially Crane Concubine. Crane Concubine, who was almost old, saw Night Leaning Moon's thin body supporting the night barrier. He felt a different kind of emotion surging in his heart. The death of Huiyao could finally be avoided. Crane Concubine turned to look at Lin Yuan. At that moment, Crane Concubine understood why Lin Yuan was the leader on the floating light feather crane's back. He encouraged everyone to hand over their cell phones. This was because Lin Yuan didn't want to cause conflict because of the cell phone and cause unnecessary casualties for the creation masters. Crane Concubine also understood why Lin Yuan was in a hurry to lead everyone to the underground space when talking to Jianghu. This was because only when they were on the ground and understood the situation. Only this young man could summon the Night Empress. Although it was the Night Empress who saved them, Crane Concubine knew that this young man was Huiyao's hero. Not everyone dared to personally take risks and investigate the situation in their prime. What kind of radiant spirit did this young man have? The Night Empress was Huiyao's pillar, and the Night Empress' presence made everyone feel at ease for no reason. It also made Di Wanmi, who wanted to attack Lin Yuan, hold his breath. Di Wanmi had always been cautious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not told Di Wandian and Di Wanqing that he had become a Class 5 creation master. Di Wanmi, who had imagined countless possibilities, never thought that he would one day face the Night Empress. If he fought, he would definitely not be able to defeat the Night Empress. Not long ago, the Night Empress had used a 10-star sacred source lifeform to summon a phenomenon that Di Wanmi could not compare to. After becoming a Class 5 creation master, everything had to be slowly accumulated. If Di Wanmi was given 10 or 20 years to face the Night Empress, Di Wanmi would not be able to do so. Even if Di Wanmi still couldn't win, he wouldn't be in such a sorry state. In front of the Night Empress, Di Wanmi could not muster up any courage to make a move. However, Di Wanmi still had something to rely on, and it was the fact that he was a Class 5 creation master. Di Wanmi was confident that he could reveal his Class 5 creation master identity to the Night Empress. The Night Empress would never kill him. Lin Yuan came to Night Leaning Moon's side and explained to her what had happened in the underground palace. The more the Night Empress listened, the gloomier her face became. Listening to the end, the face of the Night Empress, who usually did not show her emotions, actually showed a clear and fierce expression. Even the Night Empress did not dare to estimate if Lin Yuan had not discovered the conspiracy of the whale ocean trade. How great of a loss would it have brought to Huiyao? The whale ocean trade was digging up Huiyao's roots. Night Leaning Moon, who was in a rage, raised her hand. Dense power of night formed a giant palm in front of Night Leaning Moon. She did not give Di Wanmi any time to speak. This palm formed from the power of night slapped Di Wanmi's face without the slightest bit of mercy. Di Wanmi's sacred source life form, the rotten body meat ginseng, was almost smashed into pulp. Even Di Wandian and Di Wanmi, who were supposed to be Di Wanmi's batteries, were turned into dust by this palm. Fortunately, Di Wanmi had activated the rotten body meat ginseng's flesh battery function and used his two brothers' bodies as a substitute for his death. Otherwise, Di Wanmi, who had just reached the peak of immortal realm, would not have been able to withstand the Night Empress' furious palm. Once the rotten body meat ginseng was injured, it would automatically absorb the vitality of the surrounding living beings. However, the Night Empress' power of night had firmly sealed everything around Di Wanmi. The rotten body meat ginseng's roots could not pierce through the night barrier and could not use other living beings' vitality to recover. Di Wanmi, who stood up in a sorry state, spat out a mouthful of blood. Di Wanmi, who was looking down on everything and talking about his ambitions, looked at the Night Empress in panic. I am a Class 5 creation master. I am already a Class 5 creation master. I can use the bodies of sacred source lifeforms to create relics and world crystals to create world crystals. With me around, the Radiance Association will have 4 Class 5 creation masters. In terms of the number of Class 5 creation masters, we have surpassed the Freedom Federation. The Night Empress attack just now made Di Wanmi feel the shadow of death. Di Wanmi was a little puzzled. The young man who summoned the Night Empress was explaining the situation to her. I already told the Night Empress that I am a Class 5 creation master. Did the Night Empress not hear it clearly? If the Night Empress heard that I am a Class 5 creation master, why would she still make a move on me? Hearing Di Wanmi's words, Night Empress looked at Di Wanmi as if she was looking at a maggot. Night Empress said coldly. Radiance's Class 5 creation masters, be it the Moon Empress, Bamboo Monarch, or Chef Supreme. The reason why they are revered isn't because they are Class 5 creation masters. It is because they use their abilities as Class 5 creation masters to contribute to the Radiance Association. This contribution can be protection or advancement. They might not be able to benefit every spirit chi professional in the Radiance Association, but they are using their own abilities to bring stability to the Radiance Association. Who do you think you are? Even if you really become a Class 6 Creation Master, you are not fit to be mentioned in the same breath as them. How I wish I could discover the Whale Ocean Trade's conspiracy earlier. If that was the case, who knows how many more Creation Masters the Radiance Association would have. You killed Creation Masters for your own selfish desires. What right do you have to bear the lives of those Creation Masters? Hearing the Night Empress' words, Di Wanmi's eyes became even more astonished. Di Wanmi's heart was filled with 10,000 questions about the Night Empress' words. I am a Class 5 Creation Master. I am a Class 5 Creation Master. Isn't this enough to explain everything? Those Creation Masters that I have absorbed are all dead. What value do dead people have? Could the Radiance Association be willing to give up on me, a Class 5 Creation Master? This was a possibility that Di Wanmi had never imagined. However, even if the Night Empress wanted to kill him, Di Wanmi did not believe that the other eminences of the Radiance Association would do so. Di Wanmi picked up his broken sacred source life form, the rotten body ginseng, from the ground and said to Night Leaning Moon, I request to enter the sin cleansing pond. I request to enter the sin cleansing pond. My life and death will be decided by the 13 eminences of the Radiance Association. Chapter 1505. When the Night Empress heard this, the palm formed by the power of night once again slapped the other half of Di Wanmi's face. This time, Di Wanmi, who didn't have a flesh battery to defend himself, was beaten into a corner. After coughing for a long time, he still couldn't stand up. Night Leaning Moon looked at Di Wanmi and said with a tone of disdain. You hate others, but you treat yourself quite well. In order to withstand my attack, you even used your peak immortal Fey, Dark Thunder spiked armor, as a shield. You know that you have to work hard to survive, but don't you know that those Creation Masters that you have absorbed also want to survive? If you want to join the Pagoda Canon and be 8th Page's substitute, how do you still have the face to say that you are from the Radiance Federation? The Sin Cleansing Pond accommodates the sinners of Biyao. What right do you have to enter the Sin Cleansing Pond? The killing intent in the Night Empress' words was firm. The killing intent in his words grew thicker. Di Wanmi struggled and finally stood up again. However, Di Wanmi, who had yet to summon his Fey, was slapped twice by the Night Empress. He no longer had the courage to summon his Fey. Di Wanmi tried to struggle one last time. As long as Biyao can provide an endless supply of Creation Masters, I will definitely be able to become a Class 6. I'm willing to be Biyao's puppet and work for him for life. The Biyao is so powerful. It shouldn't be difficult for it to capture some Creation Masters from the other federations. I can issue an oath. The Night Empress raised her hand, pointed at the tens of thousands of Creation Masters behind her, and questioned Di Wanmi. Isn't the life of a Radiance Creation Master a life? Creation Masters build the civilization of spirit chi professionals and are the cornerstone of the spirit energy era. When the Federation is in a war, as long as it isn't a life and death situation, they won't easily touch the opposing Creation Masters. If you want to live, will the Creation Masters behind me agree? You have to give an explanation for the Sea-Sky lineage's Creation Master's life. You have to account for the Four-Legged Beast region's Creation Master's life. You have to account for the lives of those Creation Masters who didn't join any faction. Therefore, you must die. You deserve to die 10,000 times over. Night Leaning Moon gave Di Wanmi an ultimatum. These words contain Night Leaning Moon's most proper character as the Radiant Highness. Otherwise, Night Leaning Moon could have easily agreed to Di Wanmi's request and forced Di Wanmi to swear loyalty to her. This way, Night Leaning Moon would have another Class 5 Creation Master as a servant. However, Night Leaning Moon's actions weren't just driven by profit. More importantly, it was his responsibility as Lord Biyao. This responsibility had been on Night Leaning Moon's shoulders since the day she became a Radiance Envoy. The Night Empress was not in a hurry to execute Di Wanmi. Instead, she asked Lin Yuan, who was beside her. Little Yuan, how do you think we should deal with Di Wanmi? Night Leaning Moon wasn't asking him this to test him. The Moon Empress was in seclusion, and Lin Yuan was representing her by standing here. Lin Yuan was the first person to discover this conspiracy. Before coming here, he had already told Mystic Moon that he would cooperate with Lin Yuan. Therefore, it was up to Lin Yuan to make the decision. When Lin Yuan heard the Night Empress ask him how he should deal with Di Wanmi, he pondered for a moment before replying. I discovered that there was a problem with the whale ocean trade because I happened to meet the Sea Sky lineage's young family head, Ji Feng, when I was posting the trade on Star Web. Through Ji Feng, I found out about the undercurrent in the whale ocean trade. This matter wasn't reported to the Hidden Moon Pavilion, so I paid more attention to the whale ocean trade. I came to investigate this time because the number of creation masters gathered by the whale ocean trade is simply too many. I can't afford to gamble. Even if there is only a 10% chance that my guess is correct, I have to come and take a look. The first victim of the Myriad Flags lineage's conspiracy is the Sea Sky lineage. I propose to call Ji Feng over and let him put an end to everything. Upon hearing that, Night Leaning Moon nodded. Little Yuan, since you have a plan, go ahead and make the arrangements. Night Leaning Moon didn't immediately send these tens of thousands of creation masters away. Di Wanmi's death would be considered an explanation for these creation masters. Soon, after receiving Lin Yuan's notice, Ji Feng arrived at the Whale Ocean Trade's old residence that he hadn't seen for a long time. Ever since Ji Feng had followed Lin Yuan, he had been thinking about how to repay Lin Yuan. He was only thinking about how to avenge his family. Ji Feng had originally thought of following Lin Yuan for 3 years to repay him for saving his life. Then, he would head to the Whale Ocean to take revenge. However, Lin Yuan had helped him time and time again, making Ji Feng feel that no matter how long he stayed by Lin Yuan's side and how hard he worked, Lin Yuan would always help him. It would not be enough to repay Lin Yuan's kindness. Due to Lin Yuan's kindness, Ji Feng gave up the intention of seeking revenge on the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Flags within 30 years. He had not even said anything, and Lin Yuan had already helped him with the matter of revenge. Moreover, at the end of this matter, Lin Yuan had even allowed him to unleash the final sword strike to end the hatred. Just based on this, Ji Feng felt that following Lin Yuan was a blessing. Such a Lin Yuan was worth following for eternity. Ji Feng walked up to Di Wanmi, who was bound by the power of night, and summoned the Karma Sword Orchid. He used this Karma Sword Orchid, which his father had nurtured for him, to stab into Di Wanmi's heart and crush his vitality. The matter was over. The Night Empress did not give these tens of thousands of creation masters a chance to thank her for saving their lives. With a wave of her hand, she used the power of Night's barrier to move these tens of thousands of creation masters to the entrance of the Whale Ocean Trade's old mansion. Looking at the Whale Ocean Trade's imposing old mansion, Crane Concubine felt as though she was in a dream. Only an hour had passed, but she had experienced a life and death situation. She had also seen Her Majesty's boldness and the youth's bravery. Night Leaning Moon glanced at Ji Feng, who was standing beside Lin Yuan, and gently nodded at him. Lin Yuan knew that Night Leaning Moon had something to say to him, so he said to Ji Feng, return to the faraway mansion first. The Myriad Flags lineage and the Myriad Origins lineage have become estranged over the years, but the Myriad Flags lineage has never attacked the Myriad Origins lineage. There are also creation masters in the Myriad Origins lineage. Chief Guard Knight will thoroughly investigate all of this. We just have to wait for the news. After thoroughly investigating the Myriad Origins lineage, you, as the young family head of the Sea Sky lineage, should come back to inherit the family business. Upon hearing that, Ji Feng hurriedly said, Young master, I'll just stay by your side. Young master, I'll just stay by your side. Before Lin Yuan could speak, Night Leaning Moon looked at Ji Feng as though she was looking at a fool. If there is really something wrong with the Myriad Origins lineage, their outcome will not be any different from the Myriad Flags lineage. If you really want to help your young master in the future, come back and inherit everything in the Whale Ocean Trade. Cleaning up the mess of the trade on the Whale Ocean and stabilizing the situation is what you should do. Chapter 1506. When Ji Feng heard this, he was startled, and an ashamed expression appeared on his face. He then said firmly to Lin Yuan, "Don't worry. Young master, even if there are no issues with the Myriad Origins bloodline, I will still go all out to control the island whales in the whale ocean trade." After Ji Feng left, Night Leaning Moon sighed and said to Lin Yuan, "Don't worry. The other 12 eminences, including your master, the Moon Empress, all of us hope that the Radiance Association can produce another Class 5 Creation Master. The appearance of a Class 5 Creation Master can increase Huiyao's overall strength by at least 10%. But because of the selfishness of the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Flags lineage, they killed all the Creation Masters of the Sea Sky lineage. Otherwise, there might be a Class 5 Creation Master seedling among the Sea Sky lineage's Creation Masters. All these years, all of us thought that the Sea Sky lineage's Creation Master was in seclusion. We didn't expect that all of this was a conspiracy of the Whale Ocean Trade. Little Yuan, it's all thanks to you." Lin Yuan quietly listened to Night Leaning Moon speak. He knew that she was lamenting. For Night Leaning Moon to kill a Class 5 Creation Master like Di Wanmi, she must have made up her mind. Night Leaning Moon clearly treated him as a junior and did not treat him as an outsider. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such selfish words to Ji Feng with his status as Her Majesty. In the face of such a Night Leaning Moon, Lin Yuan felt that he no longer needed to hide some things. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan spoke to Night Leaning Moon in a serious tone. "Actually, I have a way to let Radiance have another Class 5 Creation Master." Night Leaning Moon was grieving over the large number of Creation Masters that had perished because of the selfish desires of the Whale Ocean Trade. As a result, Lin Yuan suddenly said that he could let Radiance have another Class 5 Creation Master. Night Leaning Moon couldn't help but be startled. Night Leaning Moon stared at Lin Yuan and spoke in a very solemn tone. "Little Yuan, you can't speak carelessly about such things. Class 5 Creation Masters were of great importance and concerned the Federation's future. Those federations that had Class 5 Creation Masters would be able to crush those that didn't have Class 5 Creation Masters in terms of overall strength. The transformation that a Class 5 Creation Master could cause was something that ordinary people couldn't imagine." As the Moon Empress disciple, Lin Yuan was about to walk the path of a Radiance envoy. Therefore, every word that Lin Yuan said was as heavy as 500 kilograms, and there could not be any falsehoods. No matter how talented Lin Yuan was, Night Leaning Moon didn't dare to believe that he had a way to create another Class 5 Creation Master for the Radiance Federation. If Class 5 Creation Masters were so easy to obtain, the Whale Ocean Trade would not have made a fuss about the Radiance Dao Sex Creation Masters. In Lin Yuan's opinion, it was only natural that Night Leaning Moon did not believe him. Lin Yuan also knew that what he said was simply too unbelievable. For a moment, he didn't know how to explain it to Night Leaning Moon. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Red Thorn. He then asked Red Thorn to summon its original body. The Gold X/Fantasy V Red Thorn's main body expanded by nearly 3 times. The sinister mouth of Relinquish spat out the tongue of Relinquish that was covered in spikes. The blinking eye of Relinquish emitted a strange radiance. The furnace-like mouth of Relinquish rumbled as it digested large amounts of metals. The digestion of large amounts of metals caused the surface of the mouth of Relinquish to have a faint metallic luster. During this period of time, the mouth of Relinquish had devoured the metals. The mouth of Relinquish's toughness could already easily withstand the all-out attack of a same-grade fantasy breed Fae. Red Thorn just swung its green vine-like long hair and sat on Lin Yuan's neck. Its smiling face pressed against Lin Yuan's chin and gently rubbed against it. The Red Thorn that Lin Yuan summoned shocked the experienced and knowledgeable Night Leaning Moon twice in a row. It was a gold/fantasy breed 6-winged demon with a bloodline at the pinnacle of 6-winged. This was something that Night Leaning Moon had never seen in her entire life. The Spirit Guard supervised all Faes in the world, and even Class 5 Creation Masters wouldn't dare to say that they were more knowledgeable than Night Leaning Moon. After Night Leaning Moon took a few glances at Red Thorn, she looked at its main body. After some investigation, Night Leaning Moon's eyes locked onto the only long, dark purple tip of the tongue of Relinquish. Red Thorn had used 2 of its 3 tongues of Relinquish. It had used the tip of the tongue to control Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe, whose bodies had been split into two by the Void Shadow Demon. Now, Red Thorn's grade had risen to Gold X/Fantasy V. It could use the Tongue of Relinquish's ability to control Di Wanmi, whose neck had been pierced by Ji Feng's sword. The Tongue of Relinquish could awaken Di Wanmi's spirit and soul and retain his memories from when he was alive. Under Red Thorn's control, Di Wanmi could still carry out the work of a Class 5 creation master. However, Di Wanmi, who was controlled and awakened by the Tongue of Relinquish, no longer had a chance to progress further. He could only forever maintain the standard of a Class 5 creation master. However, even if he was a Class 5 creation master, he was still a Class 5 creation master. Night Leaning Moon was a pinnacle Class 4 creation master and could easily see through Red Thorn's Tongue of Relinquish's ability. Night Leaning Moon revealed an ecstatic expression. She didn't expect Lin Yuan to really rely on his own ability to let Radiance have a fourth Class 5 creation master. This was a huge matter. Di Wanmi had committed grave sins when he was alive, and it was considered a karmic cycle that Lin Yuan could use to benefit Radiance after his death. Little Yuan, use this six-winged demon of yours to control Di Wanmi. After controlling Di Wanmi will become a part of your strength. However, don't waste your abilities as a creation master just because you have a Class 5 creation master under you. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows. Of course, he wouldn't waste his abilities. If he wanted to increase his rank as a spirit chi professional, he still had to rely on his abilities. At the same time, Lin Yuan could tell from Night Leaning Moon's words that she was advising him to let him control Di Wanmi alone. Lin Yuan didn't reject it. First, Di Wanmi occupied Red Thorn's Tongue of Relinquish. Everything about Di Wanmi was controlled by Red Thorn, and he was considered a puppet that was equivalent to a part of Lin Yuan's combat power system. In addition, Sky City also needed a Class 5 creation master in the dark to hold down the fort. That way, the bodies of the sacred source lifeforms he had collected could be forged into treasures. Di Wanmi couldn't even withstand one move from Night Leaning Moon, but Di Wanmi's strength was at the pinnacle of the immortal realm. After controlling Di Wanmi, Lin Yuan had an additional Class 5 creation master under him. It was the same as having an additional pinnacle of the immortal realm fighter. Lin Yuan commanded Red Thorn in front of Night Leaning Moon. Red Thorn, use the Tongue of Relinquish to control Di Wanmi's body. Red Thorn extended its hand and pointed in Di Wanmi's direction. The spores landed on the ground, and a path made of nibbling vines connected Di Wanmi and the mouth of Relinquish. Chapter 1507. The nibbling vines lifted Di Wanmi's body and sent him to the mouth of Relinquish that had a slender tongue. The tip of the Tongue of Relinquish pierced into Di Wanmi's body. Numerous nail scars immediately appeared on Di Wanmi's body. Immediately after, the originally dead Di Wanmi opened his eyes and stood respectfully behind Lin Yuan. Night Leaning Moon looked at Lin Yuan and could not help but sigh with emotion. This generation's growth was simply too fast. I really wonder how the Moon Empress nurtured Lin Yuan. With Lin Yuan's current excellence, he was fully qualified to be a Radiance envoy. The Moon Empress was still in seclusion, and Night Leaning Moon was prepared to discuss today's matter with Mystic Moon. Then, when the Moon Empress came out of seclusion, he would inform her in detail. He would let the Moon Empress decide if she should release the news that Lin Yuan had saved tens of thousands of creation masters. He definitely had to let them go. It was just that the Moon Empress had to decide when to release it. Upon seeing Lin Yuan walk back in front of her, Night Leaning Moon gently patted Lin Yuan's shoulder and spoke. "Little Yuan, you did well." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a bright smile. He then said to Night Leaning Moon, "Auntie, after the spirit guard is done searching the Whale Ocean's trade, I want to see if there's something I really need." He didn't tell Night Leaning Moon what he was looking for. He didn't say why he was looking for it. Although there were some things that he could tell Night Leaning Moon, there were some things that he had better keep to himself. That strange seed most likely came from the Pagoda Cannon. Night Leaning Moon already knew about the collusion between the Pagoda Cannon and the Whale Ocean Trading Company. How Huiyao would treat the pagoda cannon was not something he should think about. It didn't take long for the spirit guards to gather all the goods from the whale ocean trade. Lin Yuan looked at the resources that the spirit guards had gathered and activated Morbius True Data to examine them with all his might. Soon, Lin Yuan found another strange seed among these resources. There was also a pot of half-open plants cultivated from the seeds of a strange plant. The plant had huge leaves, and the flower bud in the middle gave off a rotten smell. It seemed to be a plant of the konjac family. However, under True Data, this konjac plant was not a plant species Fey at all. Instead, it was a plant-type dimensional creature called Gardener konjac. Furthermore, this half-bloomed plant was only a cluster of plants that the dimensional creature had split off. If it wasn't awakened by the dimensional creature, the branch would continue to sleep quietly. Lin Yuan asked Red Thorn, which was beside him. Red Thorn, can you eat this Gardener konjac in its cluster state like how you ate that seed? Before Lin Yuan asked, Red Thorn could no longer wait. Red Thorn looked at the ramets of the Gardener's konjac. It couldn't wait to swallow the Gardener konjac. He simply let Red Thorn devour the Gardener konjac's ramets and seeds. Soon, the ramets and seeds of the Gardener konjac were digested by Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish. This time, Red Thorn's rank didn't skyrocket like the previous time. It was still at gold rank level 10. However, this didn't mean that the energy in the Gardener konjac ramets and seeds disappeared into thin air. The energy in the Gardener konjac ramets was more than 3 times more than the energy in the Gardener konjac seeds. This time, Red Thorn devoured a Gardener konjac ramets and a seed. It was equivalent to absorbing 4 times the energy obtained last time. The reason its rank didn't increase this time was that this energy was imprisoned in Red Thorn's body. Only when this energy reached a certain level and reached a critical value would it be released to play a role. In other words, Red Thorn still needed to devour the Gardener konjac seeds or ramets. Although Red Thorn's rank didn't skyrocket, the tip of the tongue of relinquish still had an obvious change. Through communicating with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan learned that the regeneration speed of the tip of the tongue of relinquish had changed from 1 month to 3 days. It was 10 times shorter. In addition, the tip of the tongue of relinquish had forked and felt like a snake's tongue. It was as if the original tongue tip was about to split and become 2 tongues. From the looks of it, Red Thorn hadn't absorbed enough energy from the dimensional creature named Gardener konjac. Lin Yuan recalled that the Whale Ocean Trading Company had cooperated with the Beast Creation Garden and had given the Beast Creation Garden a seed. Miao Zhinshan had told Lin Yuan about this. Whether Red Thorn's tongue of relinquish could mutate successfully depended on the Beast Creation Garden seed. After storing Red Thorn into the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan bade farewell to Night Leaning Moon. Lin Yuan's purpose of coming to the Whale Ocean Trading Company had been achieved. As long as Lin Yuan went to the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to retrieve the seed, he could continuously receive information on the star web to exchange for items. He would let those Emperor-class experts phase undergo the world cleansing and extract the world grace. Fortunately, before the Radiance 100 sequence started, he would enhance Lin Yuan's own phase. He would strive to enhance all of Lin Yuan's phase to Diamond X. Only then could Lin Yuan ensure that on the battlefield of the Radiance 100 sequence, he had to guard against the Freedom Federation's conspiracy against the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan first returned to the mansion and asked Wen Yu to remove the face mask on his face. Then, he summoned Blackie and rode it to the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's old mansion. When he reached the old mansion, Lin Yuan did not talk nonsense with Miao Zhinshan and explained his purpose of visit. Miao Zhinshan still did not know what had happened with the Whale Ocean Trading Company. However, Miao Zhinshan had already decided to rely on Lin Yuan for the entire Miao family. Thus, even if Lin Yuan asked for the Whale Ocean Trading Company's seed, Miao Zhinshan still gave it to Lin Yuan. Recently, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had been thinking of restoring its former glory. The way to restore its former glory was nothing more than to make a name for itself and obtain massive resources. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had gone downhill because of the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. Miao Zhinshan planned to use the Blood Oath Extreme Duel to make the Miao family rise again. Recently, the veteran factions that the Miao family's beast creation garden had applied for the Blood Oath Extreme Duel had all accepted it. This made Miao Zhinshan feel very strange. Why did these veteran factions dare to accept the Miao family's beast creation garden's Blood Oath Extreme Duel? It was said that rabbits would bite when cornered. It seemed like these veteran factions were all rabbits that bit people. Lin Yuan had previously emphasized not to let Miao Zhinshan use his identity as the Moon Empress disciple. However, Miao Zhinshan still reaped the benefits of Lin Yuan's identity as the Moon Empress disciple. During this period of time, no matter which top faction discussed cooperation, those top factions would maintain friendly relations with the Miao family's beast creation garden because the Moon Empress disciple had spoken up for the Miao family's beast creation garden. Chapter 1508. Furthermore, Miao Zhinshan had dared to do such a thing because he had the intention of secretly using Lin Yuan's identity as the Moon Empress disciple. Thus, Miao Zhinshan always felt terrified in front of Lin Yuan. When you had informed Lin Yuan of Miao Zhinshan's actions, he had already settled the whale ocean trade. It could be said that the beast creation garden was no longer useful to him. Since the beast creation garden was courting death repeatedly by attacking 6 veteran forces at the same time, he wanted to use the lives of these 6 old forces to help the Miao family rise in the beast creation garden. In his opinion, this behavior was essentially no different from the whale ocean trade. If there was a difference, it would be that the whale ocean trade was harming creation masters' lives. On the other hand, the Miao family's beast creation garden had harmed the lives of veteran faction's spirit chi professionals. It was the behavior of vermin. Since the Miao family had crossed the line time and time again in the beast creation garden, and they didn't know how to repent, the Miao family would not be able to change their ways. Why don't I use the Blood Oath Extreme Duel to get rid of the Miao family's beast creation garden? Lin Yuan looked at Miao Zhinshan and asked. How many peak stage emperor level experts do you have in the beast creation garden? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Miao Zhinshan revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Miao Zhinshan did his best to report all the remaining peak martial emperors of the Miao family. When reporting the pinnacle emperor class experts to Lin Yuan, Miao Zhinshan had hidden a part of his selfishness. There were some emperor level experts who had just reached the peak and were not yet stable enough. Miao Zhinshan also reported everything to Lin Yuan. If they were lucky enough to use the law crystals that Lin Yuan had given them to reach the imperial grade, the Miao family would have profited greatly. Apart from the 8 emperor-level powerhouses in the Miao family's beast creation garden, there were not many of them. Miao Zhinshan reported that 10 peak martial emperors had arrived. Just like how he helped the Miao family's current peak emperor-level experts advance to the overlord level. After collecting these emperor-class experts' myth breed phase to become creation breeds, he would obtain the creation vein. Lin Yuan left the Miao family. Next, the Miao family's beast creation garden, which had bad intentions, would contribute 18 law crystals to Lin Yuan because of his fierceness. Once the Blood Oath Extreme battle was over, the princess would be able to digest the world crystals to her heart's content for a good period of time. Similarly, he would also obtain a new sword skill every 7 days. It also increased the corresponding elemental resistance of the world of laws. After returning to the return from faraway manor, Lin Yuan was preparing to return to his room. Red Thorn was strengthened through the gardener konjac seed he got from the Miao family. He wanted to see if Red Thorn could activate the energy in the ramets and seeds that it had devoured before after digesting the seed. Red Thorn's rank had only broken through to gold rank level 10 after the huge whale fall feast. Lin Yuan did not have any good ideas for Red Thorn's great advancement. It could be said that Lin Yuan had always prepared the best bait for Red Thorn. Now, Red Thorn had been consuming the flesh of platinum and diamond dimensional lifeforms, as well as bronze and silver grade spirit materials like ferromanganese and tough copper. However, even though Lin Yuan had an abundant supply of these bait, Red Thorn's grade did not rise. This gave Lin Yuan a headache. This time, if he could attract the energy of the gardener's konjac seeds and ramets, Red Thorn would definitely be able to break through from Gold X/Fantasy V to Platinum and become a Platinum/Fantasy breed demon. Lin Yuan's goal for Red Thorn was to let it break the restriction of the six-winged demon's bloodline when it became a myth breed. It would become a legendary eight-winged demon that had never appeared before. Although Red Thorn consumed a large amount of Class 4 and Class 5 dimensional lifeforms' flesh and metals, its great advancement was not obvious. However, the absorption of these dimensional lifeforms' flesh made the digestive fluid in Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish contain a variety of characteristics such as strong acid, corrosion, burning, and so on. In particular, Red Thorn's absorption of the water world dimensional lifeforms' flesh had allowed Red Thorn to breathe underwater. It also had the ability to paralyze the opponent through the secretion of juice. All of these were subtly enhancing Red Thorn's strength. The absorption of ferromanganese and tough copper made the nibbling vines stronger and more flexible at the same time. Now, Red Thorn only needed to produce 10 nibbling vines to trap phase of the same level as Red Thorn. This crushing of same-grade lifeforms was partly because Lin Yuan was willing to invest in Red Thorn. It was also related to Red Thorn's pinnacle six-winged bloodline. Just as Lin Yuan was about to return to his room, he saw Lu Jia walking down the Golden Bell spiral staircase. Lu Jia had just finished a call with Night Leaning Moon. From Night Leaning Moon, Lu Jia found out that Lin Yuan had done a great thing in the morning. Lu Jia did not blame Lin Yuan for not telling him about this matter. Lu Jia blamed himself for not being able to help Lin Yuan with his current strength. Ever since the insect queen mutated and controlled the first insect-type carcinoma Fei, Lu Jia realized that his combat system had started to walk on a strange path. Due to the insect queen's special characteristics, Lu Jia could only contract one. Those insect-type carcinoma Feis were all contracted by the insect queen. This allowed Lu Jia to indirectly control those insect-type carcinoma Feis through the insect queen. Due to the bloodline restriction, the insect-type carcinoma phase could not become fantasy breed phase. Diamond X/Legend was already the limit for insect-type carcinoma phase. Lu Jia could use these Diamond X/Legend insect-type carcinoma phase to trigger a natural disaster to destroy the continent. It was very easy for Lu Jia, and he could do it without any effort. However, by relying on these insect-type carcinoma phase, Lu Jia would not be able to bear the responsibility of a retainer. The insect-type carcinoma phase abilities were focused on destruction and not defense. Therefore, it was difficult for Lu Jia to be a shield in front of Lin Yuan and a sword in his hand. However, Lu Jia had no other choice and could only continue on this path. Originally, Lu Jia planned to contract a few insect-type carcinoma phase after the Radiance 100 sequence ended. However, Lin Yuan's matter had stimulated Lu Jia. Lu Jia decided to contract those 3 insect-type carcinoma phase before the Radiance 100 sequence ended. There might be risks, but with his sacred source lifeforms abilities, as long as he paid the price, he would be able to overcome this risk. Lu Jia said goodbye to Lin Yuan and thought to himself, since I can't be a shield to protect you or a sharp sword to cut through the thorns for you, then I can only use the method of destruction to become the strongest deterrent in your hands. At this moment, Lu Jia, who had made up his mind, did not expect that his choice would be written into the main world's history books. Lin Yuan returned to his room and entered the spirit lock spatial zone. He looked at Red Thorn, which was flying around him and looking at him with eager eyes. Lin Yuan tossed the Gardener Konjac seeds to Red Thorn and said, Red Thorn, whether you can break through this time or not will depend on yourself. Red Thorn happily caught the Gardener Konjac seeds that Lin Yuan dug up and went to the mouth of Relinquish. Red Thorn happily caught the Gardener Konjac seeds that Lin Yuan dug up and went to the mouth of Relinquish. It tossed the Gardener Konjac seeds into the mouth of Relinquish. Chapter 1509. As the seeds of the Gardener Konjac entered the mouth of Relinquish, the 3 mouths of Relinquish, which were like furnaces, began to rumble violently. A majestic energy was awakened from the mouth of Relinquish. This energy affected the mouth of Relinquish, causing it to expand continuously. The 3 mouths of Relinquish expanded to a size of nearly 10 meters. At that moment, Red Thorn's voice echoed in his mind. Red Thorn was requesting Lin Yuan to choose its evolution direction. Lin Yuan knew that Red Thorn was going to evolve. In terms of evolution options, Lin Yuan didn't hesitate to continue to choose to enhance red thorn's digestive ability. It could be said that red thorn had been reaping the benefits of its digestive ability ever since it grew up. When red thorn was digesting, it could absorb a portion of the digested object's energy to strengthen itself. Hence, improving red thorn's digestive ability was equivalent to improving red thorn's overall quality. After Lin Yuan made his choice, the 3 mouths of relinquish that had expanded to 10 meters continued to expand. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly summoned red thorn back to his room from the spirit lock spatial zone. He then summoned the ethereal jellyfish and let it teleport through the node. He teleported himself and red thorn to the previously marked wilderness. The spirit lock spatial zone was only so big, and Lin Yuan had made use of it. The spirit lock spatial zone was filled with all sorts of fays. If he allowed red thorn's mouth of relinquish to continue expanding, it might affect the safety of the other fays in the spirit lock spatial zone. Now, in the wilderness, red thorn was expanding without restraint. Eventually, the 3 mouths of relinquish expanded to a diameter of about 15 meters. The increase in the size of the mouth of relinquish was also a manifestation of an enhanced digestive ability. Like 2 stomachs, a small stomach, a big stomach. If the digestive efficiency of a large stomach and a small stomach were the same, the larger stomach would always be able to digest more food than the smaller stomach. The evolving red thorn spawned a few ramets on the ground near him. It took root in the ground and absorbed a large amount of nutrients from the soil, causing a large area of land to become desertified. The rhizome shattered the sandy soil, and red thorn's 3 mouths of relinquish actually burrowed into the soil bit by bit. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan could not help but be slightly stunned. After that, he knew that this was a habit that red thorn had developed at the bottom of the sea. When he had been at the bottom of the sea, he had realized that red thorn liked to drill into the sand. Now that red thorn was evolving, these were all unconscious actions. He could only wait for red thorn to complete its evolution before letting the mouth of relinquish emerge from the ground. After more than half an hour, Lin Yuan saw a huge flower bud with a diameter of nearly 10 meters burrowing out of the ground. Then, the flower bud bloomed and turned into a huge red flower with a crown of nearly 50 meters. The petals of the flower were like gauze, dancing in the air with the breeze. This dark red color was like a flame dancing in the wind. Immediately after, the ground trembled, and 3 mouths of relinquish emerged from the ground. It turned out that above the 3 mouths of relinquish, a flower neck had grown out from the central region, and this huge red flower had bloomed. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw the petals in the flower opening layer by layer. Red thorn's figure appeared in the heart of the flowers. The barefooted red thorn sat on the center of the flower, as though it was a queen on a throne, inspecting everything. Red thorn did not inform the acid corrosion queen bee about its evolution. This caused the acid corrosion queen bee to almost lose her life in the mouth of relinquish. However, the acid corrosion queen bee didn't mind at all. After all, what right did simps have to care? Now that the house was several times bigger than before, and the acid was more abundant, the acid corrosion queen bee couldn't be happier. Lin Yuan keenly noticed that the front of the mouth of relinquish's tongue of relinquish had completely forked. The tip of the tongue of relinquish that was originally consumed protruded out a purple tongue tip. Red thorn had already pounced into Lin Yuan's embrace. Lin Yuan asked, "Red thorn, your relinquish's tongue seems to have split. Can your relinquish's tongue control 3 more targets?" Red thorn nodded its head and replied, "Lin Yuan, I can still control 3 more bad guys." To red thorn, Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan, and Di Wanmi were all its enemies. Therefore, in red thorn's mouth, these people were naturally the bad guys. At that moment, Lin Yuan had already used Morbius True Data to investigate red thorn's grade. Fey name, Red Thorn, 6-winged demon, 1,000 eyes sacrificial offering, spirit species, vine subspecies/fairy species, Fey grade, platinum, 3 out of 10, Fey type, source/wood, Fey quality, fantasy V abilities. Frowny face mouth of relinquish, secretes vigorous digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can rapidly digest the energy in food. The tongue of relinquish in the mouth can increase the digestion speed by several times and can secrete various acids that have consumed flesh and blood. At the same time, when the three mouths of relinquish's tongues of relinquish pierce into the target's body, they can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, the tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to live. Carnivorous vine. Hollow vines that contain digestive fluid and sharp teeth inside the vines can consume flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of relinquish. Eyes formed by consuming flesh and blood energy. Each eye contains a large amount of flesh and blood energy. When the number of eyes of relinquish on each mouth of relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of relinquish can only store energy. When there are more than 60 eyes of relinquish, those that exceed 60 eyes of relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of relinquish and can turn into an energy ray at any time. Flower sea transition. Through rapid consumption of stored energy, the attack power and mobility of the child rabbits in the sea of flowers will be multiplied. At the same time, the child rabbit's weapons will be specialized, allowing the original functionality of the child rabbit's weapons to increase. Demon spirit curse. When any child rabbit split from the mother rabbits touch the enemy target and break through the target's defense, it will curse the target. Each curse will have a random negative effect in the demon's body, and the curse caused by the attack can be stacked multiple times. Exclusive skill frowny face spore proliferation. The spore cavity spits out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by red thorn or flesh and blood energy to rapidly proliferate and grow child rabbits and rabbits that are controlled by the mother rabbits. Wither glory. Red thorn can quickly absorb the energy in the ground and inject it into the sea of flowers. As long as there are child rabbits and child rabbits in the ground, the withered sea of flowers will reach the most prosperous state. After checking, Lin Yuan found that red thorn had transformed from gold X to platinum 3. Chapter 15:10. Red thorn had undergone a complete metamorphosis previously. The advanced skills and exclusive skills were the same as before, and there were no obvious changes. However, unlike gold red thorn, platinum red thorn had obtained a new ability, demon spirit kill curse. The demon spirit kill curse seemed to be very different from red thorn's other abilities. Red thorn's other abilities were derived from its main body. According to the demon spirit kill curse's description, it was an ability derived from red thorn's demon bloodline. The demon spirit kill curse allowed red thorn's child rabbits to touch the target and cause damage to the target. It would randomly select one of red thorn's negative effects and attach it to the target's body. Furthermore, this effect could be stacked many times. More importantly, these effects that were originally physical or elemental had all become curses. When facing physical and elemental attacks, some powerful lifeforms often had extremely strong resistance. However, the curse did not only target the physical body but also the mind, spirit, and soul. It was extremely difficult to crack. At the same time, the curse could also turn into misfortune under a large accumulation of effects. The misfortune in Zhong Zai's body was caused by the multiple stacking effects of the curse. Red Thorn's platinum ability, Demon Spirit Kill Curse, turned Red Thorn's Sea of Flowers into a sea of cursed flowers. Targets that entered the Sea of Flowers would be plagued by misfortune because of the curse. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Right now, Red Thorn would probably be able to stop the Pinnacle Class 3 alien insect dimensional rift by itself. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that if he wanted Red Thorn to improve its strength, he might as well not purchase dimensional lifeform's flesh. When Lu Jie returned, he would let the dimensional lamp moth open a dimensional rift. He would place Red Thorn under the dimensional rift and gorge itself. But soon, Lin Yuan became distressed. The whale ocean trade was destroyed, and he no longer had a way to obtain Gardner Konjac seeds or ramets. When he thought that the Gardner Konjac was a dimensional life form, Lin Yuan's mind stirred. After returning to the mansion with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan stored it in the spiritual spatial zone. Red Thorn's current size was simply too large and was no longer suitable to stay in the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan went to the swamp world through the Klein hub and called Bai Yen to ask about the Gardner konjac. Gardner konjac was a plant that loved water, and there were not many dimensional rifts that were suitable for it to grow. The temperature of the abyss world was extremely high, and non-fire type plants could not survive. They would soon be roasted dry. There was no light in the underground world all day long. Most of the plants that lived in the underground world had the ability to emit light. They relied on the light emitted by themselves and their companions to survive. The plants in the water world were all aquatic plants that could not live without water. If they left the water, they would soon rot and stink like the water world dimensional life forms. In comparison, the Gardner konjac was only suitable to grow in the swamp dimensional rift and the alien insect dimensional rift. However, most of the plants in the alien insect dimensional rift were fungi that fed on the bodies of insects. These fungi can turn worms into worm stalks. Cordyceps were the special products of the alien insect dimensional rift and possessed extremely potent medicinal properties. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that the Gardner konjac was not suitable to survive in the alien insect world. Therefore, among the 5 known dimensional rifts, the swamp world was the only suitable place for Gardner konjac to survive. She thought that as a native of the swamp world, Bai Yen should have seen the Gardner konjac before. In the end, Bai Yen was very sure that he had never heard of the Gardner konjac. This made Lin Yuan feel a little strange. Could there be a 6th-dimensional rift that had not been discovered by humans? Since Bai Yen did not know about it, Genius did not have any information about the Gardner konjac. Lin Yuan did not bother about the Gardner konjac anymore. In any case, he might encounter the Gardner konjac again one day. The whale ocean trade's matter had been completely settled. It was time for Lin Yuan to increase his strength. In the real world, there were many spirit chi professionals who could not smoothly evolve their myth breed phase because they could not guarantee that they could pass the world cleansing. These people were Lin Yuan's trading partners. Lin Yuan would help their myth breed phase to successfully evolve their phase quality, but he would also take away the world grace that would descend after the phase passed the world cleansing. Just as Lin Yuan was contacting these people to come to the royal capital, Night Leaning Moon, who had just sent Lu Jie to contract the insect-type carcinoma Fei, was leaning over the table. She was dipping a pen in the golden juice and writing something seriously. Night Leaning Moon understood why Lu Jie was anxious to increase his strength at this juncture. At this moment, Lu Jie was really similar to her in the past. Night Leaning Moon had already communicated with Mystic Moon about the whale ocean trade situation. This was because Mystic Moon was upgrading the star web with the other 2 Her Eminences, and the Moon Empress was in seclusion. As a participant in the entire incident, Night Leaning Moon naturally wrote the report on the entire incident. When writing the report, Night Leaning Moon deliberated for a long time. In the end, she decided to conceal the news of Lin Yuan using the 6-winged demon to activate Di Wanmi's corpse and turn it into a creation master puppet. A Class 5 creation master puppet that could be controlled was undoubtedly more tempting than a living Class 5 creation master. The Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had signed a 2-year agreement. Although there was no official declaration of war, the 2 major federations had already entered an emergency state of war. In addition, the Pagoda Cannon's people had infiltrated the Radiance Federation and colluded with one of the 3 major factions, the Whale Ocean Trade, for so many years before being discovered. Therefore, not revealing some information was the best way to protect oneself. The Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, and Bamboo Monarch were 3 Class 5 creation masters, and they were all current experts that no one could control. However, a Class 5 creation master puppet could be indirectly controlled through Lin Yuan's control. The other fellows must have received the news and understood the Whale Ocean Trade's conspiracy. The Imperial Court Conference should be starting again. Recently, the Imperial Court Conference has been rather frequent. At the thought of this, Night Leaning Moon suddenly realized something. It seemed that the frequent Imperial Court Conferences that had been held for the past half a year were all related to Lin Yuan. What kind of disciple did the Moon Empress accept? Lin Yuan made an appointment with those Emperor-class experts and asked those King-class experts to gather in the royal capital. He worked hard to enhance phase while collecting the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoysia that had just matured in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He then fed the spirit wisdom purple zoysia to Genius. Lin Yuan realized that after Genius ate the spirit wisdom purple zoysia, its spiritual energy had a significant increase. In less than 2 days, it had transformed from Fantasy I to Fantasy II. When Lin Yuan was nurturing the spirit wisdom purple zoysia, he had used its spores. This allowed Lin Yuan to harvest a large number of spirit wisdom purple zoysia in one go. Chapter 15:12. Lin Yuan reckoned that after Genius finished eating this wave of spirit wisdom purple zoysia, its quality would at least reach Fantasy IV. As long as it nurtured another wave of spirit wisdom purple zoysia, Genius should be able to enter the Fantasy V door. Chimey had been living in the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree's nest. It had never stopped absorbing the energy from the heavenly flames to temper its bloodline. A month ago, Lin Yuan had already started to let Chimey absorb high-grade heavenly flames. Now, Chimey's quality had evolved from Fantasy III to Fantasy IV. After transforming into the Fantasy IV, Chimey's appearance had undergone some slight changes. Presumably, when Genius and Chimey advanced to Fantasy V, their bloodlines would complete a complete evolution. Sun Ningxiang hadn't been idle during this period. While helping Lin Yuan promote the Warm Sun Fund, Sun Ningxiang helped Lin Yuan select a large batch of spirit qi professionals and ordinary people who were willing to enter seclusion. Lin Yuan transferred a large number of people selected by Sun Ningxiang into the swamp world. He handed them over to Lu Tong for him to make arrangements. When those creation masters who had made appointments with Lin Yuan arrived at the royal capital, Lin Yuan called the Mother of Bloodbath. They met up in the outskirts of the royal capital with these emperor-class experts. Before coming, the Mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan had put on faceless paper. As a Myth 3 Heaven and Earth Fae, the Mother of Bloodbath's combat strength was comparable to a creation breed Fae. If the Mother of Bloodbath used its favored spirit bloodline to activate the power of the sun and control the power of the sun to fight, the Mother of Bloodbath could completely break through the limits of its realm and fight with Faes of the second or even the third lineage of creation. Therefore, even if the Mother of Bloodbath was only a suzerain/Myth 3 Fae, it was more than enough to help these Emperor-class experts Faes survive the world cleansing. For the entire day, Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath stayed in the outskirts of the royal capital. The Mother of Bloodbath fought the world cleansing head-on, while Lin Yuan quietly opened the Pure Land of Bliss underground to absorb the world grace. The Pure Land of Bliss only absorbed 10% of the world cleansing. After absorbing 10%, it could no longer absorb anymore. Therefore, these myth breed Faes that had a breakthrough in quality did not suffer much loss. Throughout the day, the Pure Land of Bliss in the Spirit Lock spatial zone had been gushing out large amounts of spirit qi crystals. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope in the Spirit Lock spatial zone was extremely busy. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope carefully picked up the spirit qi crystals from the Pure Land of Bliss and piled them at a special spot. The hill of spirit crystals was already taller than the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope. After returning to the returning manor, he returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He was prepared to use these spirit qi crystals to enhance his phase. Lin Yuan placed the jasmine lily on the nurturing table in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Then, he summoned Zixiao from the swamp world and Little Black from the hidden dragon lake. He asked Little Black to camouflage until it was 1 meter long. He looked at Genius, Chimey, Jasmine Lily, Purple Firmament, Blackie, and the Soul Remembrance Whale. Lin Yuan shook his sleeve and released the Source Sand's main body. Lin Yuan said seriously, "Next, I will strengthen all of you and raise your levels to diamond rank level 10. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Genius and Chimey were the first to respond. One jumped onto Lin Yuan's shoulder, while the other landed on Lin Yuan's ear and intimately rubbed its small face against Lin Yuan's ear. Immediately after, the Soul Remembrance Whale and Purple Firmament responded. Little Black and the Source Sand were the last to respond to Lin Yuan. As for the Jasmine Lily, Lin Yuan had to personally carry it over if he wanted to hold a meeting for his phase. As a platinum/fantasy breed plant fae, Lin Yuan did not expect it to have high intelligence. However, when he saw the soul remembrance whale happily circling around him, Lin Yuan felt a little awkward. He reached out to touch the soul remembrance whale's head and said, "You haven't become a fantasy breed yet. You haven't become a fantasy breed yet, so you can only listen." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the soul remembrance whale did not have a trace of disappointment. It seemed that as long as it could stay by Lin Yuan's side, the soul remembrance whale was already very happy. Of course, Lin Yuan did not just have these fays. Red Thorn, Silver Splendor, Zither, Gold Wing, Blue Sky, the Floating Island Whale, Gray, and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee were considered Lin Yuan's fays. Lin Yuan had already raised the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's grade to Diamond X/Legend. However, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee had yet to obtain a willpower rune from the natural world. As for Red Thorn and Silver Splendor, if they wanted to increase their strength, one needed flesh energy, while the other needed soul energy. These were not things that spirit chi crystals could provide. The Zither was Lin Yuan's wealth password. Every time the Zither's grade increased, its quality would also increase. They all symbolized a golden lotus brocade's renewal. Therefore, unless it was necessary, Lin Yuan would not easily raise the grade of the Zither. Gold Wing was a Desolation bloodline fae and needed dragon liver and phoenix blood. Blue Sky and the Floating Island Whale both needed pure water element energy. As for Gray, it needed to absorb all kinds of auras to raise its grade and quality. Therefore, these little fellows' grade increase was not within the scope of the spirit chi crystal's ability. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not call them over. Lin Yuan first raised the grade of Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament, which were spirit-locked fays. With the consumption of a massive amount of spirit chi crystals, Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament's grades were all raised to Diamond X. However, the Purple Firmament and Little Black were Fantasy I, while the Jasmine Lily was Fantasy III. If Little Black wanted to raise its grade, the best way was to absorb the essence blood of a pure blood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fae. Such things were extremely rare, but the Coiling Dragon Valley should have a reserve. Lin Yuan had heard Long Tao mention that the race's main dragon species fae would specially separate a drop of essence blood every 10 years. It was the Coiling Dragon Valley's resource reserve. The Coiling Dragon Valley had always been lacking in the number of Emperor-class experts and could not compare to the Beast Creation Garden. This was because it was indeed more difficult for dragon species fays to raise their grade than other fays. Lin Yuan could use the law crystals to exchange for the essence blood of a pure blood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fae, even without Long Tao. Long Tao was his good brother, so Lin Yuan did not mind helping the Coiling Dragon Valley to raise its top combat power. The Jasmine Lily had previously used the Sea Burial Crystal condensed by the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body to raise its grade. Now, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower had transformed into a fairy fae, Silver Splendor. The energy core had also turned from the Sea Burial Crystal into Silver Splendor. However, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body, which Lin Yuan had planted beside the spirit pool, could still absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Even if the Sea Burial Crystal was removed, it would not cause the slightest harm to Silver Splendor. Chapter 1513. The Sea Burial Crystal condensed at the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's roots was much larger than what Lin Yuan had fed to the Jasmine Lily. Lin Yuan pulled off this Sea Burial Crystal and planted the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body next to the spirit pool. He let it continue to absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Lin Yuan placed this Sea Burial Crystal on the Jasmine Lily's leaf and let it absorb it. With the consumption of the Sea Burial Crystal, the Jasmine Lily's quality had increased from Fantasy III to Fantasy V. Now, Lin Yuan finally had a Diamond X/Fantasy V fae. Improving the Jasmine Lily's quality was originally a delightful thing. However, at the thought of the Purple Cloud's quality improvement, Lin Yuan could not help but have a headache. The Purple Cloud's body had the bloodlines of the Purple Cloud Beauty Butterfly and the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, two supreme butterfly species fays. If he wanted to improve the Purple Cloud's quality, he could collect some of the blue flash butterfly's butterfly wing scale powder. He could let the purple cloud absorb these scale powder. However, this was not the best way to improve the purple cloud's quality, and it was not in line with Lin Yuan's goal of enhancing phase. If he wanted the purple cloud to improve its quality in the best way, he needed to find a fei called the Nirvana butterfly. He had to collect the Nirvana butterfly's butterfly wings butterfly powder for the purple cloud to absorb. However, Lin Yuan did not know where to find the Nirvana butterfly. Previously, Lin Yuan had asked the Brahma insect cage if it still had one slaughter worm in reserve, and it had said that if he needed it, it could give him another slaughter worm. However, the Brahma insect cage could not take out a Nirvana butterfly. The Nirvana butterfly was actually not a general species fei, but it had suddenly mutated. Any butterfly species fei had a chance of transforming into the Nirvana butterfly through a sudden mutation. However, the probability was too low. There were clear records of the Nirvana butterfly, unlike the purple cloud beauty butterfly that only existed in legends. However, there were only 2 Nirvana butterflies in history. These 2 Nirvana butterflies had eventually turned into ashes in the endless mutation. They had failed to break the Nirvana butterfly's fate and break through to some unknown butterfly phase bloodline. Since he could not find the Nirvana butterfly, Lin Yuan did not want to force the purple cloud to improve its quality. In any case, Purple Heaven's current rank had been raised to Diamond X/Fantasy I. In battle, it could play an effective role in control. The scale powder was enough to make those feis that relied on elemental combat to become autistic. As they were spirit-locked feis, Blackie, Jasmine Lily, and Purple Firmament didn't obtain any new abilities. Lin Yuan sighed in his heart. He had nurtured these little fellas so meticulously. If these little fellas had platinum or diamond skills, they would definitely be very powerful. As Morbius' grade increased, he wondered if he would be able to see the day when a spirit lock phase high-grade ability would appear. After enhancing the Jasmine Lily, Blackie, and Purple Heaven, he was prepared to enhance Genius and Chimey. Genius was currently at Diamond I/Fantasy II. Chimey was now Platinum 3/Fantasy III. As usual, a large number of spirit crystals were poured in, and Genius and Chimey were upgraded to Diamond level 10. He was different from Genius. Genius was already Diamond rank level 1. Thus, even though Lin Yuan had invested a huge amount of spirit chi crystals, Genius didn't obtain any new abilities. Chimey was previously at the platinum level, but it was now at the diamond level. After reaching the diamond level, Chimey would obtain a new ability. Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius' ability, True Data, to investigate Chimey. Fei name, Clear Sound Luan, Fei species, Plume Finch/Luan bird, Fei grade, Diamond, 10 out of 10, Fei type, Sound/light, Fei quality, Fantasy II abilities Frowny face Jade shattering sound, shoot out a huge sound note with the sound of jade shattering at a designated target. The sound of jade shattering has a certain interference effect. At the same time, after the huge sound note is attacked, it will shatter into 10 spiral-shaped sound thorns. Bathe light, bathe the body in clear sunlight. The sunlight can quickly recover the consumed vitality. Sunlight ray, emit all kinds of rays from the sun. The rays will cause negative weakening to the target. At the same time, the sunlight ray can increase the plant phase vitality when shining on it. Absolute nirvana light, retain only a trace of vitality in the body and seal it in the sun wheel of the wings. The rest of the vitality will be burned into sunlight energy. Before the sunlight energy in the vitality disappears, it will be immune to most physical and elemental damage. Clear zither sound, anchor an object that can release light-type energy. When controlling this object or being accepted by this object, one can project one's voice or sound-type ability onto this object and use this object as a base to spread in all directions. Exclusive skill Frowny face Clear sky. After a clear bird's cry, the clouds will disperse, and the sun will be summoned. The sky will be clear, and the darkness will disperse. Radiant body, rapidly absorb the sun's power. A large amount of sun energy will gather in the body to form the radiant body. At a glance, Lin Yuan realized that Chimey's diamond ability was called Clear Zither Sound. This ability is quite interesting. Just anchoring an object that can release light-type energy is worth Lin Yuan's deep thought. There were many objects that could release light-type energy, such as a metal spiritual ingredient or an extraordinary flame that could emit light. Most light-type phase could release light-type energy. In the entire world, the one that released the most light-type energy was the eternal sun in the sky. Chime's clear zither sound could control the extraordinary flame and the metal spiritual ingredient that could emit light. It was the same as having a mobile microphone. Apart from being able to control this object, Chime could also let this object accept itself. When it was accepted by this object, Chime could also project its sound-type ability onto this object. It would then use this object as a base to spread out. Could Chime use the anchored object as the sun? If Chime could set the anchored object as the sun, when Chime used clear zither sound, wouldn't the entire world be able to hear Chime's voice? Wouldn't Chime become a national idol that could transmit its voice to everyone's ears? A gold medal songstress that used the sun as a microphone. Of course, it wasn't a simple matter to anchor the sun. Even if Chime could become immortal one day, it still wouldn't be able to rely on its own strength to control the sun. At the same time, through communicating with Chime, Lin Yuan understood that when Chime used clear zither sound, the area that its voice could spread to was also limited. However, the more powerful the anchored object, the more light-type energy it contained. Chime's voice would also spread further. Chapter 15-14. In order to test the specific effect of clear harp voice transformation, he took out a piece of bronze floating light aluminum. He got Chime to use its clear harp transformation skill to control the floating light aluminum. Soon, Chime chose the floating light aluminum as its anchor target. In order to test Chime's ability, he had deliberately left the spirit lock spatial zone. He was randomly teleported to the outskirts of the capital. He found that after controlling the floating light aluminum, it was like a loudspeaker when Chime sang. Chime's voice was continuously transmitted to the surroundings. The sound released by floating light aluminum wasn't much different from Chime's. However, the floating light aluminum's sound conductivity was much further than Chime's. From the original range of a few hundred meters to 3 kilometers. Lin Yuan continued to experiment and took out a ball of high-grade exceptional flame. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Chime's voice. Lin Yuan, compared to controlling this high-grade strange flame, it should be easier to make it acknowledge Chime. With that said, Chime flapped its wings and approached the high-grade twilight cold fire. Chime used the light elements it released to communicate with the light elements released by the high-grade twilight cold fire. Soon, the twilight cold fire became Chime's anchor. After getting the twilight cold fire to acknowledge Chime, Lin Yuan understood. Anchoring an object would consume Chime's light elemental energy. In order for an object to acknowledge Chime, Chime could consume the light energy contained in the object. After experimenting, Chime obtained the recognition of the high-grade strange flame, twilight cold fire, and used it as a speaker. Chime's voice could travel as far as 50 kilometers. From this, it could be seen that anchored objects had a strong correlation with transmission ability. When he thought of how Chime could use this anchored object as a base, he realized that Chime could release its sound-type skills. Chime's only sound-type skill was the normal grade skill, shattering jade sound. Lin Yuan immediately ordered Chime. Chime, use this ball of twilight cold fire to launch a shattering jade sound to the furthest limit. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, it let out a soft cry. Finally, through Lin Yuan's observation, he found that at a position of 25 kilometers, there was a huge mountain range. Traces of being attacked by the sound of broken jade appeared. He then asked Chime to use broken jade sound to the side and found that the depth of the traces was basically the same. This meant that the power of an attack released through an anchor was not any weaker than the power of a skill released by oneself. After Chime executed the shattering jade sound, the twilight cold fire's flame was clearly weaker. This meant that Chime's broken jade sound had consumed a portion of the twilight cold fire's light elemental energy. This discovery made Lin Yuan increasingly feel that Chimey should regard the anchored object as the sun. If it was another Fae, even if its light element talent was much stronger than Chimey, it would still be hard to obtain the sun's recognition. However, he had the Mother of Bloodbath by his side. The Mother of Bloodbath had the bloodline of the Polaris sun spider and was the favored child of the sun. It could directly communicate with the sun. With the Mother of Bloodbath's help, Chimey was very likely to obtain the sun's recognition and complete its anchoring. The light energy in the sun was endless. Using the sun as a base, the distance it could travel was not as simple as hundreds or thousands of miles. However, before advancing to a myth breed, Chimey wanted to obtain the sun's recognition through its harp transformation skill. It was still too early. The appearance of clear zither sound allowed Lin Yuan to see Chimey's infinite possibilities. With the sun as an anchor, when Chimey used its ability, it would look almost no different from a celestial phenomenon. Controlling celestial phenomena was an ability that only 10-star sacred source lifeforms possessed, apart from the favored spirits. As a Fae, Chimey was very likely to be able to do this. Currently, Chimey only had one sound-type ability, Broken Jade Sound. As Chimey's strength increased and its sound-type bloodline was constantly strengthened, new sound-type abilities would always appear. However, even if it only had one ability, Broken Jade Sound, with the sun as an anchor, it was already strong enough. Chimey's Broken Jade Sound used the sun as a muzzle and was fired at everything. As long as the sun's light elemental energy did not dry up, Chimey's Broken Jade Sound would be endless. Lin Yuan had to admit that Chimey's advancement to Diamond had brought him a huge surprise. Next, he just had to wait for Genius and Chimey to evolve to Fantasy V. Genius and Chimey would then be able to obtain a brand new metamorphosis before becoming myth breeds. Lin Yuan was looking forward to this day's arrival. The source sand was previously at Diamond I. When Lin Yuan's source sand reached Diamond X, the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Lin Yuan realized that the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Now, as long as Lin Yuan wanted to, the guard sand could cover a 1-kilometer radius around him. Moreover, he could control these guard sand like his own arms. He could make any exquisite changes with his thoughts. Immediately after, Lin Yuan urged the source sand. The ground that was covered by yellow sand collapsed, and the sand body traveled underground. The area within 10 kilometers immediately turned into a purgatory of sand. Moreover, the sand was constantly expanding its territory. In less than a minute, Lin Yuan had created a sea of sand within 30 kilometers. Lin Yuan controlled these guard sand, and they changed their shapes under his control. Suddenly, an idea flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Immediately after, the sand body under Lin Yuan's feet surged, and a 3-meter-tall, 2-meter-long sand house appeared in the center of the quicksand vortex. In this small sand house formed by the guard sand, Lin Yuan was wantonly moving his body around. After Lin Yuan's control, the small sand house's interior was very exquisitely carved. Using the guard sand to form a small sand house was far from Lin Yuan's limit. As a large number of guard sand gathered toward the small sand house became bigger and bigger. Finally, it formed a 30-meter tall, 20-meter long, and 20-meter wide castle. After this castle was formed, the guard sand's activities were far from stopping. The source sand's exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, devoured a total of 3 types of metal. These 3 types of metal were also designated into 3 forms. These 3 types of metal and 3 forms were chain swords made of radium uranium steel, feathers made of day and night spirit silver, and triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold. The guard sand precipitated a large number of these 3 types of metal into their designated forms. Chain swords made of radium uranium steel were built in the castle like bones. These chain swords built in the castle could be launched out of the castle at the fastest speed at any time. The day and night spirit silver turned into feathers and attached to the castle's surface. The day and night spirit silver's powerful defensive ability and hardness increased the castle's defense. From time to time, the day and night spirit silver would fall from the castle and separate. A defensive zone was formed around the castle. The triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold moved back and forth in the land around the castle like spirit snakes. Chapter 15:15. Lin Yuan had chosen the liquid metal, the red lotus soft gold, because it had an extremely strong ductility. Once spirit chi was channeled into it, the liquid red lotus soft gold could instantly turn into a needle with extremely strong piercing performance. This triangular line formed by the red lotus soft gold could completely replace the heart-penetrating iron line, an alien insect that was accepted by the exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Immediately after, the castle changed again. A large number of gears formed by the guard sand began to densely cover the interior of the castle. By channeling spirit chi, the density of the guard sand would change. A small amount of spirit chi was channeled into the castle, allowing the guard sand to turn into gears. It could allow the castle to move quickly in the sea of sand. Immediately after, the sand-formed castle stretched out its legs and hands like a giant. The castle giant's legs and hands were embedded with chain swords made of radium-uranium steel. In his previous life, Lin Yuan had seen an anime called Howl's Moving Castle. Now, Lin Yuan had also built his moving castle through the source sand. As an elemental source-type life form, Lin Yuan had always focused on its group ability in nurturing it. But now, through the guard sand and the exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, it had transformed into these metal spiritual materials. This allowed the source sand to become a standing attacking giant in the sea of sand. In this way, it was enough to maximize the source sand's offensive power. After experimenting with the evolved source sand's abilities, Lin Yuan felt that it should be on the agenda to choose a suitable fey or dimensional life form for the source sand's exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Because the source sand's swallow metal had transformed into the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold turned into a triangular shape. Lin Yuan had already eliminated the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan was never picky about the choice of Sand Spirit Acceptance. Strengthening his defense and controlling the sea of sand were all within Lin Yuan's choice. As for offensive power, Lin Yuan thought about it and let it go. Now, Lin Yuan's attack mainly relied on Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, and Princess Sacred Sword Mode's sword skill. No matter how strong the source sand grain spirit acceptance fey was, a Diamond X/Fantasy 3 source sand could not compare to the power of a sword technique. Therefore, strengthening the source sand's offensive power was equivalent to wasting its talent to some extent. As for improving the source sand's quality, it was not difficult for him now. The mountain-containing embryo might be rare, but compared to the essence blood of a main dragon species fey or the spirit wisdom purple zoysia, it was much more valuable. In terms of rarity, it was still a level lower. As long as he posted a bounty of 100 heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls on Star Web, he would be able to receive the mountain-containing embryo. He let out a sigh of relief after upgrading all his feys to Diamond X by relying on Spirit Chi crystals. Previously, Lin Yuan's fey grade had always been lower than the Radiant Sect's younger generation's vanguard. Zhongzhe, Gu Lang, and he, and Lu Jie's feys had all reached Diamond X/Fantasy V. As for Lin Yuan, only a few of his feys had reached Diamond I. Now, Lin Yuan had caught up. In terms of feys, there was no longer any difference between Lin Yuan and Radiance's younger generation vanguard. As for quality, he was confident that he could raise Chimey, Genius, Source Sand, and Blackie's quality to Fantasy V. Only the Purple Firmament did not have a good solution because Lin Yuan could not find the Nirvana Obsidian Butterfly. Next, he was going to make a trip to the Coiled Dragon Valley to obtain the Essence Blood from the Long family to help Blackie evolve from a pure-blooded WIRM species to a main dragon species fey. He took out his cell phone and dialed Long Tao's number. When chatting in the group last night, Long Tao said that he would personally oversee the Abyss in 2 days and manage the operations of the organization. Moreover, by fighting the abyssal demons, he would be able to hone his combat skills. If Lin Yuan did not look for Long Tao these few days and waited for Long Tao to enter the Abyss world, he would not be able to find Long Tao. If he wanted to find Long Tao, he would have to wait for him to return from the Abyss world. Soon, Long Tao picked up the phone. Lin Yuan said to Long Tao. Brother Long, are you still in the old house in the Coiling Dragon Valley? Upon hearing that, Long Tao hurriedly replied, knowing that Lin Yuan had something to talk to him about. Brother Lin, I'm at the old house in Coiling Dragon Valley right now. Do you want me to find you there? Long Tao thought that Lin Yuan wanted him to retrieve the golden lotus brocade stalk. But today wasn't the appointed time. Lin Yuan had already provided the previous batch of golden lotus brocade stalks to the Coiling Dragon Valley. The next batch of golden lotus brocade stalks should be delivered next week. Long Tao was grateful to Lin Yuan from the bottom of his heart. Out of kinship, Lin Yuan had helped his father's fae with damaged roots break through to Myth 3. Out of friendship, Lin Yuan had helped him too much. Lin Yuan had pulled him together to form a faction and develop the Abyss world. It was the same as giving him a bright future. Otherwise, even if Long Tao was the Coiling Dragon Valley's young family head and the Radiance 100 Sequences number 3, he wouldn't be able to fight his way into the circle of His Holiness disciples. Out of the Coiling Dragon Valley, Lin Yuan had provided the Coiling Dragon Valley with golden lotus brocade stalks, increasing the overall Coiling Dragon Valley's creation master resources by 30%. While this allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to develop faster, it also allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to harvest more resources. It raised the Coiling Dragon Valley's status among the top factions. It allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to have a chance of reaching the top 5 this year. This was all Lin Yuan's help to him and the Coiling Dragon Valley. Therefore, whenever there was something, Long Tao would think of doing something to repay Lin Yuan. At that moment, Long Tao heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. Big brother Long, there's no need for that. I want to discuss a deal with the Coiling Dragon Valley in the Coiling Dragon Valley. I need you to be the middleman. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tao immediately knew that Lin Yuan wasn't coming to the Coiling Dragon Valley as the Moon Empress disciple. Instead, he was coming as a friend. Otherwise, there was no need for Lin Yuan to inform him in advance. As long as he sent a notice to the Coiling Dragon Valley, his father and the Coiling Dragon Valley's elders would have to wait for Lin Yuan's arrival. Even if his grandfather was in seclusion and was preparing to become immortal. But even so, when Lin Yuan really arrived, he would not be able to do anything. His grandfather would have to come out of seclusion and greet Lin Yuan to show respect. Lin Yuan wanted him to be the middleman to show that they were true brothers. On the other hand, it was also to show respect for the Coiling Dragon Valley. Long Tao quickly said. Brother Lin, what deal do you want to make? Just say it. I'll go inform them and prepare it for you before you come. Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and said. Big brother Long, the Coiling Dragon Valley should have pure blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species, right? I want some pure blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species. Chapter 15-16. Long Tao's heart skipped a beat. The Coiling Dragon Valley did have such a fae that could evolve from a flood dragon to a main dragon species. However, this fae was his grandfather's main fae. It was now a Class 10 monarch and a Class 8 creation calamity. It was charging toward immortal. The few drops of essence blood that Lin Yuan needed in the family were the main dragon species phase. In order for his grandfather's main fae to break through, it had been absorbed by his grandfather's main fae. If he wanted such essence blood now, he could only let his grandfather's main fae condense it. Once his grandfather's strength reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley's position among the top factions would change drastically. The Whale Ocean trade was blocked by the spirit guards. No one knew what was happening inside. However, according to the spirit guards, the Whale Ocean trade had been removed from the Radiance faction list. Once his grandfather reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley would have the ability to fill the gap in the top 3 factions. However, Long Tao could not refuse Lin Yuan's request. The entire Coiling Dragon Valley could not refuse either. The Long family owed Lin Yuan too much. Long Tao said. I will let the family prepare in advance. When brother Lin comes, just take it away. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied. Big brother Long, I will go to the Coiling Dragon Valley now. As for the deal, we will discuss it when I arrive. With that, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Coiling Dragon Valley mansion on Little Black, he found Long Tao and all the Coiling Dragon Valley's direct descendants waiting for him at the door. Long Tao stood in the middle of the group. On Long Tao's left stood the Long family head, Long Tuesday. On the right stood an old man with white hair and beard. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the old man's gaze on him. It was filled with complicated emotions. At the same time, he was sincerely welcoming Lin Yuan. When these people saw Lin Yuan jump off Little Black's back, they were preparing to greet him. At that moment, Long Tu and Long Du saw Lin Yuan bow to them as a junior. Then, he walked to Long Tao's side and said with a reproachful tone. Big brother Long, why are you so polite? Lin Yuan's tone was very sincere, and it warmed Long Tao's heart. This also deepened Long Tu's impression of Lin Yuan, who had previously understood him, and Long Du, who had never come into contact with him. He was not arrogant or rash and treated everyone with courtesy. The more talented a person was, the more arrogant they were. Long Tu, Long Tao, and Long Du were all born with a silver spoon in their mouths. From the moment they were born, they carried the unique arrogance of geniuses. Long Du and Long Tu asked themselves if they could reach such a level of courtesy. Naturally, Long Tao couldn't reach it. Before coming to welcome Lin Yuan, Long Du had understood the situation and pondered for a moment. He resolutely gave up on the rare opportunity for his creation peak stage main battle spirit, the weak water ice jade Jiao, to become an immortal. The water ice jade Jiao mobilized all of its qi and blood, trying its best to condense 5 drops of blood essence. As a weak water ice jade dragon at the peak of creation stage, it only had around 12 or 13 drops of blood essence in its entire body. The condensation of 5 drops of essence blood was equivalent to the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao suffering an extremely serious injury. If he wanted to let the rudimentary ice jade Jiao recover, he would probably need to use elemental pearls that contained pure water elements to nourish it for several years. As the Long family's former head, Long Du was willing to give up his own benefits in order to repay Lin Yuan. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. Now that he saw Lin Yuan's courteous attitude, Long Du's uncomfortable feeling dissipated a little. When Long Du saw the black flood dragon under Lin Yuan, he was secretly shocked. As a pinnacle class 4 creation master, Long Du recognized this black flood dragon as the spirit-tied black flood dragon. It was a fae that had evolved from a butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish. Long Du couldn't imagine how much pure spirit chi had been supplied. That was why a small butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish could undergo such atavism when its dragon species bloodline was stimulated. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had come to ask for the essence blood to improve the spirit-tied black flood dragon's quality. Otherwise, Lin Yuan wouldn't have needed to specifically ask for the essence blood of a pure-blooded flood dragon to a main dragon species fae. When Long Tao heard Lin Yuan's words, he didn't regard himself as an outsider and smiled. This is your first time coming to our Coiled Dragon Valley's old mansion. The next time you come, there won't be so many people to welcome you. After returning to the main mansion with the Long family, Long Du took out 5 test tubes made of amethyst. Each of the 5 test tubes contained a drop of sparkling purplish gold blood. This drop of purplish gold blood was condensed with dragon chi, which would fly out from time to time. It was as though once the bottle was opened, this drop of dragon blood would transform into a dragon and fly out. Lord Lin Yuan, this is the essence blood you want. If it isn't enough, my Long family can give you another 3 drops. When speaking, Long Du had a resolute expression. However, Long Tao and Long Tu looked at Long Du with worried expressions. If the weak water ice jade flood dragon condensed another 3 drops of essence blood, it would fall into a near-death state, and its roots might be injured. If it continued to be nurtured, it wouldn't be something that could be solved with elemental pearls and a few years of effort. After receiving the amethyst test tubes from Long Tu, Lin Yuan said, 5 drops are enough. I previously agreed to carry out a transaction with Big Brother Long. I wonder if, before Lin Yuan could finish speaking, Long Tu said, Lord Lin Yuan, my Long family is indebted to you. Lord Lin Yuan's kindness to our Long family is as heavy as a mountain. He allowed our Long family to leap from a top-notch faction to the top 10 in just a few months. What transaction is Lord Lin Yuan discussing with the Long family? If you need the essence blood, just take it. In fact, the Long family could tell Lin Yuan about Long Tu's situation. This would undoubtedly win Lin Yuan's favor. Long Tao wouldn't do this, and Long Tu and Long Du naturally wouldn't choose to do so either. After all, Long Du's final choice was to repay the kindness, not to seek repayment. Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan shook his head seriously. Uncle Long, that's a different matter. How many Pinnacle Emperor-class experts does the Long family have now? Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tu, Long Du, and Long Tao held their breaths. The three of them knew that Lin Yuan had law crystals. The Long family had previously traded with Lin Yuan, allowing Long Tu's fate to smoothly evolve to Myth 3. Now that Lin Yuan was asking how many Pinnacle Emperor-class experts the Long family had, it was obvious that he wanted to trade law crystals in exchange for the Long family's essence blood. Each Emperor-class expert was an extremely precious treasure to a top-notch faction. When Emperor-class experts were sent to various major cities, they could oversee the major cities and open up business. Even if Emperor-class experts were sent to sweep through dimensional rifts, they could obtain massive amounts of resources every year. Moreover, when the various top-notch factions reached a strategic cooperation, generally, each top-notch faction would send an Emperor-class expert to supervise the cooperation process. Chapter 15-17. If one side did not send out an Emperor-level expert, even if that side put in more effort in other aspects, they would not be able to defeat the other side. They would still appear to be relatively weak in the cooperation. Due to the difficulty of evolving dragon species phase, the number of Emperor-class experts had always been the Long family's shortcoming. Now, Lin Yuan wanted to use the law crystal to trade with the Long family. Long Tu and Long Du couldn't refuse at all. Just as Long Tao was about to insist on giving the essence blood to Lin Yuan continued to speak. I believe the Long clan should have heard the news about the Whale Ocean trade. Now, there are vacancies among the Radiance's top 3 factions. We need a faction that can compete with the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage to fill this position. As a creation master faction, the Long family is very suitable to replace the Whale Ocean trade and fill this gap. I can raise the strength of the Long family's peak Emperor stage experts to the Overlord stage. After saying that, Lin Yuan took out a brocade pouch. There were 100 law crystals in the pouch. Upon hearing that, Long Tu and Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with excitement in their eyes. The Coiled Dragon Valley might not have a lot of Emperor-class experts, but it was a pinnacle faction that relied on creation masters. A large number of Class 4 creation master resources could easily push an Emperor-class expert to the pinnacle of the Emperor class. The number of peak martial emperors in the Coiling Dragon Valley far exceeded that of the other forces. It was because of this that the Coiling Dragon Valley had not many Emperor-level experts. They would still be able to occupy a place among the top forces and take the lead. Upon seeing Long Tao's hesitant expression, Lin Yuan said softly, "That's right. If it weren't for my relationship with Big Brother Dragon, I definitely wouldn't have taken something like the Law Crystal out." Upon hearing that, Long Tao did not know what to say for a moment. This time, the Long family wanted to return a favor to Lin Yuan. However, he had not expected Lin Yuan to give the Long family an even bigger favor in return. Long Tu and Long Du were overjoyed, but at the same time, they began to ponder. With Long Tu and Long Du's experience, they wouldn't think about things as simply as Long Tao. Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple and the champion of both the civil and martial arena. There was no reason not to fight for the position of Radiance Envoy. If the Coiling Dragon Valley was really pushed to the position of one of the top 3 forces, then, when Lin Yuan ran for the Radiance 100 sequence, the Long family would be able to help. After all, the higher the ranking of the top forces, the more votes they had. Even though the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch for so many years, the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch. But there wasn't much progress. Ever since the Bamboo Monarch had been plagued by misfortune because of Wang Fuxiang, the Coiling Dragon Valley had formed a connection with Lin Yuan. After that, he never came into contact with Purple Bamboo Garden again. Originally, Long Tu and Long Du felt that forming a relationship with Lin Yuan was equivalent to forming a relationship with the Radiant Moon Palace's Moon Empress. However, it now seemed that Lin Yuan was a big tree that the Long family could rely on. The Long family should place all their bets on Lin Yuan for the sake of love and profit. Long Tu, who understood, said to Lin Yuan, "Our Coiling Dragon Valley currently has 31 peak-level Emperor stage experts. 7 of them are still a bit short of that level. But he has also reached the standard that other forces have for peak Emperor-level experts." Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan was secretly surprised. The number of Emperor-level experts in the Coiling Dragon Valley was actually close to double that of the Beast Creation Garden. This was enough to show why the Coiled Dragon Valley was able to crush the Beast Creation Garden in the competition. Lin Yuan said, "Then, Uncle Long, please call all the peak-level Emperor stage experts that are still in the old mansion. Let's go to the outskirts of the royal capital and choose a place to break through together." Hearing that, Long Tu quickly turned around and followed Lin Yuan's instructions. He called all the 17 peak-level Emperor stage experts that were currently in the old mansion in the royal capital over. They went all the way to an empty space in the outskirts of the royal capital. With the provision of Lin Yuan's law crystals, the peak-level myth-breed dragon species phase that the Long family's Emperor-level experts had contracted all welcomed the opportunity to break through. They were advancing toward creation breed. Seeing 7 or 8 calamities of creation condensing in the air at the same time, as the Long family's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately summoned his 2 main phase, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus. Lin Yuan realized that the weak water ice jade flood dragon, which was of higher grade and quality, was actually slightly weaker than the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus in terms of aura. There was only one possibility for the dragon species phase to be so weak and look like they had been hollowed out. That was, they had condensed essence blood. If they had only condensed 1 or 2 drops, their aura should not be so weak. Thinking that the weak water ice jade flood dragon was a main dragon species fae that had evolved from a pure-blooded flood dragon, Lin Yuan looked deeply at Long Du. Since the Long family had treated him with such affection, Lin Yuan naturally had to accept their kindness. Since that was the case, Lin Yuan shouted in a low voice, "Shadow, stop these calamities of creation and then divide the original calamities of creation's power into 100 parts. Temper these main phase that had just evolved into creation breed separately." As Lin Yuan's voice fell, a black shadow scuttled out of Lin Yuan's shadow. According to Lin Yuan's instructions, Shadow waved its hand to stop the calamities of creation. As a pinnacle Emperor-class expert, Long Du could easily control phase to help resist the calamities of creation. However, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus, whose strength was still at the creation realm, were at the same level as the calamities of creation. Therefore, neither the weak water ice jade flood dragon nor the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus could separate the calamities of creation. These dragon species phase that had just evolved into main dragon species would be baptized by the calamities of creation again and again. They would be able to perfectly stimulate their bloodline power. It was only at this moment that the Coiling Dragon Valley's experts knew. What did the expert that had silently killed the Beast Creation Garden's Emperor-class expert in the extreme arena look like? Shadow's appearance looked very different from ordinary people, but it was not very similar to a fae. Even now that the Abyss world had opened, the Coiling Dragon Valley's people had yet to come into contact with a Class 12 demon that was comparable to an immortal fae. Therefore, the Long family's experts could not specifically confirm Shadow's identity. However, everyone could feel from Shadow's strength that it had already broken away from the realm of creation breeds. This made Long Du very envious. When helping the Long family's experts through the world tribulation, Lin Yuan did not request to absorb the earth vein of creation. However, Just like when endless summer had become a creation breed, the earth vein of creation would slightly overflow. When the Long family's experts phase absorbed the earth vein of creation, a small portion would also overflow. This part of the overflow was collected by Lin Yuan using the Pure Land of Bliss. Through his previous communication with Princess, Lin Yuan knew that source-type power could strengthen the earth vein of creation. These fish food-sized creation golden pearls could be used as the prototype of the nomological world's earth vein. Chapter 15:18. The Void Shadow Demon was helping these new creation breed main dragon species phase strengthen their bodies with the calamity of creation. Then, it escaped into Lin Yuan's shadow again. The Long family's experts, whose strength had just increased, brought their phase and continuously expressed their gratitude to Lin Yuan. Just as Long too suggested that everyone return to the Long residence and set up a banquet to welcome Lin Yuan replied, "If we want Coiling Dragon Valley to replace the Whale Ocean Trade Center's position, just having Emperor-level combat power isn't enough. It needs the support of undying power. The Weakwater Ice Jade Dragon's current strength has already reached Sovereign King level 10, 8th Tribulation of Creation. All I need is an opportunity, and I'll be able to lay my hands on eternity." Lin Yuan's words stunned everyone in the Long family. Then, everyone looked at Lin Yuan with rapid breathing. In particular, Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with an abnormally scorching gaze. Could it be that Lin Yuan was planning to give his weak water, ice jade, and flood dragon an opportunity to become immortal? It was just that his weak water ice jade flood dragon had just condensed 5 drops of blood essence, and its vitality was greatly damaged. Even if he was given a chance now, he wouldn't be able to grasp it. At that moment, Long Tu saw Lin Yuan take out a wooden box and hand it to him. "There's no time to lose. Let's use the items in this wooden chest to help the rudimentary ice jade flood dragon recover its vitality. Then, I can take out a world crystal and see if this world crystal can give the Ruoxue jade falling dragon a chance to become immortal." As Lin Yuan spoke, Long Du had already opened the wooden box. Long Du, who had just opened the wooden box, was almost blinded by the dazzling treasures inside. He only needed to absorb half of the heavenly maiden-grade water elemental pearls. On top of that, there were also some emperor-grade spirit materials that could replenish qi and blood. It was able to let the Ruoxue jade falling serpent recover its energy in a short time. Long Du thought to himself when Lin Yuan mentioned the world crystal. It really was a world crystal. Only Class 5 creation masters could use world crystals to concoct world crystals to create a world crystal that could allow a pinnacle of world creation Fae to become immortal. It must be known that the 3 highnesses of the Huiyao sect had never bestowed world crystals to outsiders. The world crystal had always been digested internally by the 3 Class 5 creation masters. Now, Lin Yuan took out the world crystal and gave it to the Long family. It could be said that in the Radiant sect's history, it was the largest gift of Class 5 creation master resources that a top faction had ever received. If Lin Yuan and the Moon Empress were separated, now, it was proven that relying on Lin Yuan was more beneficial than relying on other Class 5 creation masters. There was no one in the Coiling Dragon Valley who forgot their roots. Long Du, Long Tu, and Long Tao also hated people who forgot their roots and didn't care about friendship. Today, Lin Yuan's gift had elevated the Coiling Dragon Valley to a high position among the top 3 factions. From today onward, the Coiling Dragon Valley would be on Lin Yuan's side. As smart people, Long Tu and Long Du wouldn't say something like that. After all, it would only make the relationship between Long Tao and Lin Yuan awkward. But even if he didn't say it, he could do it. When using these heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls, the humanoid weak water ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan with gratitude. Only then did he start to use the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls to recover the damage he had suffered from condensing his essence blood. The Coiling Dragon Valley had a lot of imperial spiritual ingredients that could recover qi and blood. After all, after a dragon species Fae condensed its essence blood, it would need spiritual ingredients that could recover qi and blood to accelerate the recovery speed. With the consumption of a large number of heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls and qi and blood recovery spiritual ingredients, the weak water ice jade flood dragon's aura kept rising. Soon, it suppressed the extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus. It once again displayed the power of a pinnacle creation master dragon species Fae. The humanoid extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus looked at the weak water ice jade flood dragon with envy. The extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus knew that its brother dragon was going to metamorphose into a new life level in the future. The power of a dragon species Fae could only be truly displayed when it reached immortality. Only a dragon species Fae that had the strength to peak at immortality could condense dragon pearls. Longdu still had strength to spare when facing the tribulation of creation. However, there was nothing Longdu could do about the deathless forging that would descend upon him when he reached deathless. The tribulation of creation was much more dangerous than the world cleansing, and the tribulation of immortality was much more dangerous than the tribulation of creation. Therefore, even if Lin Yuan gave his main Fae, the weak water ice jade flood dragon, a chance to reach immortality, Longdu was still afraid that his weak water ice jade flood dragon would die at this opportunity. The tribulation of immortality was different from the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation. The tribulation of immortality didn't have any worldly phenomena and only acted on the Fae itself. The power of immortality evolved from the world of law would cleanse the Fae's body. Then, it would cleanse the body and slowly grind the complete world of law of the 8 creation earth veins. It would fuse its body with the broken world of law. It would form an immortal body in the world. The world of law was the source of all the power of a creation breed Fae. Even if it survived the danger of the power of immortality. If it wanted to reach immortality, it would have to bear the risk of using its body to grind the world of law. Immortality was an unknown realm for the entire Coiling Dragon Valley. Because of the unknown, it was afraid. It wasn't that the tribulation of immortality couldn't be like the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation, where other experts could help. They just wanted to help a pinnacle creation breed Fae complete the first tribulation of immortality. In the beginning, the helper had to use great power to protect the body. They didn't want the body to be destroyed by the power of immortality. Then, they had to use great power to create a barrier around the target that wouldn't be broken by the power of the world. They had to prevent the power of the world from leaking out and forming the immortal body. These 2 points seemed easy, but to complete the first point, they needed precise control of the power of immortality. Only then could they ensure that the body wouldn't be destroyed by the power of immortality. This was something that the expert Lin Yuan had just used obviously couldn't do. To accurately control the power of immortality, the helper had to be at least level 5 immortal. As for the second point, it was even more difficult. When the world of law of the 8 creation earth veins collapsed, even a level 5 immortal expert wouldn't be able to withstand the power. Once the barrier was broken, the power of the world would leak out. In the end, even if the immortal body was formed, it wouldn't be complete. It could only be considered a broken body. Therefore, to ensure that the seed of creation Fae was 100% safe, at least a level 7 immortal expert was needed to help. But where could they find such an expert? Anyway, the Long family couldn't be found. Therefore, when they first heard that Di Wanqing had successfully become an immortal and that the Zhai family had 2 immortal experts, the Emperor-class experts of the various factions all sighed at Di Wanqing's good luck. Chapter 1519. Just as Longdu was feeling apprehensive, Lin Yuan spoke. In a while, the expert guarding the Jade Falling Serpent will arrive. Don't worry, as long as the Ruoshui Jade Falling Flood Dragon can keep its composure, no accidents will happen. I can guarantee the safety of the Ruoshui Jade Falling Dragon 100%. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Longdu immediately understood that Lin Yuan controlled immortal level 7 and above. This was simply too shocking. Then, an irrepressible sense of gratitude flowed through Longdu's heart. Longdu, who had lived for most of his life, was already half a foot in the grave. He had never been so grateful to someone in his life. Long Tao had really made a good friend. Lin Yuan was simply the Coiling Dragon Valley's little lucky star. After feeling grateful, Longdu fell into a state of shock. No one understood the situation in Coiling Dragon Valley better than Long Du. The Coiled Dragon Valley was close to the top 10 among the Radiance's 50 top factions. It was all because of the Golden Lotus Brocade stock's sudden increase in creation master resources. This kind of foundation that relied on external items to increase greatly made the position of the Coiling Dragon Valley unstable. It would take a few years or even a dozen years for Coiling Dragon Valley to firmly take root among the top 10 factions. In the end, after Lin Yuan came to the Coiled Dragon Valley, he had to rely on resources. He pushed the Coiling Dragon Valley to the top 3 of the peak factions. He took out dozens of law crystals and added a dozen Emperor-level powerhouses to the Coiling Dragon Valley. Then, he took out the World Crystal and summoned experts to help him. It would allow him to have a 100% chance of becoming undying. With such resources and ability, even if he did not spend them on the Coiling Dragon Valley, he would still be able to spend them on any of the veteran top factions. That faction could fill the gap in the Whale Ocean's trade and become one of the top 3 factions. These resources were given by the Moon Empress or in Lin Yuan's hands. It was enough to prove that he had the power to change the faction structure. Lin Yuan had already asked the Slaughter Sky Butterfly to contact Bai Yan. At this time, Bai Yan was rushing towards the entrance of the Swamp World's Klein Hub. In less than an hour, Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Bai Yan. When Bai Yan saw Lin Yuan, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Bai Yan greets milord." While greeting Lin Yuan, Bai Yan used his peripheral vision to look at the Long family's people. His gaze rested on the Ruoshui Ice Jade Serpent for a while. In Bai Yan's opinion, if there was a conflict, the Weakwater Ice Jade Flood Dragon would pose the greatest threat to Lin Yuan. Thus, Bai Yan released a trace of his own aura and enveloped the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Dragon. The rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt like it was in the mouth of a crocodile in a deep pool. He had a creepy feeling that he might be swallowed by the giant crocodile at any time. Lin Yuan instructed Bai Yan. "Bai Yan, retract your aura. In a moment, form a barrier around his body, and use your power to prevent the undying power from destroying his body." When Bai Yan heard this, he didn't understand why the Lord Ruler wanted him to help this otherworld person. But since this was the sovereign's arrangement, he had to do it beautifully. It had to be said that Bai Yan's thoughts had been enlightened on the island of Stormy Waves City. He was increasingly seeing Lin Yuan as a god. No matter what Lin Yuan asked Bai Yan to do, Bai Yan, who would wholeheartedly obey Lin Yuan, would not think too much about it. Bai Yan placed his hand on the Eternal Ice Jade Flood Dragon's back. Immediately after, a thick aura surged into the body of the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao. Bai Yan, whose strength was comparable to a peak immortal, could not be resisted by the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao. The moment Bai Yan's energy entered its body, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt that its body was almost out of control. Lin Yuan said to the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao, "Now, swallow the World Crystal." Hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao put the World Crystal into its mouth with a sacred expression. It was ready to welcome the transformation of its life form. As the energy within the World Crystal surged into the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's law world, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt its law world suddenly expand and contract. 8 Genesis earth veins embedded in the ground of the world, stabilizing the world, flew up. In the process of interweaving in the air, a magnificent dark golden energy was born. This magnificent dark golden energy squatted outside the law world. It broke through the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's world crystal and merged into its body. Immediately after, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt as if its whole body was burning. An indescribable pain spread through its flesh. Fortunately, the power that the immortal expert behind it had just injected into its body firmly supported its flesh. Otherwise, his flesh and blood would fall apart in less than 2 minutes under the influence of this dark golden energy. Bai Yan frowned and sensed the situation in the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's body. After the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's body got used to the immortal power, Bai Yan withdrew a part of the energy that he had injected into the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's body. This allowed more of the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's flesh to be cleansed by the immortal power. 1 day and 1 night passed. From the sun hanging high in the sky to the stars, and then to the sun rising in the east. The rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body emerged with a faint dark golden color. As soon as this aura leaked out, the extreme dark earthburst dragon staggered a step back. The Long family members watched the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body being cleansed by the immortal power. Their eyes were full of expectation. At this moment, Bai Yan said, "I will withdraw the last bit of energy that I injected into your body. What I can do next is to make this shield unbreakable. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest. Don't waste the fortune that our Lord has given you." With that, Bai Yan's hand left the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's back. Then, Bai Yan's eyes turned eerily white, and a majestic energy spurted out from Bai Yan's eyes. On the shield that covered the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body, a giant crocodile figure appeared. The scales on the giant crocodile's figure could be clearly seen, head to tail on the shield. Even when the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's law world was crushed, the energy that erupted could not even cause a ripple on the shield. At this moment, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao was enduring 100 times more pain than before. The law world was shattered, causing the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao to instantly feel as if it had lost all its power. This feeling made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao, who had been holding the power, panic. But before the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao could panic for long, it felt that its body was being cleansed by the immortal power. It was constantly absorbing the fragments of the broken world. Then, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao found that its lost power was returning bit by bit. And this returned power was perfectly integrated into the immortal body. It made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao feel as if the world was immortal in its body. Its body could also be immortal in this world. Chapter 15-20. Suddenly, the immortal ice jade flood dragon felt a warmth in its abdomen. It felt as though it was giving birth to a new life. This feeling made the immortal ice jade flood dragon panic. It was a male flood dragon. Could a male flood dragon also give birth? Don't want to be a male mother? Immediately after, the immortal ice jade flood dragon reacted. It should have given birth to a dragon pearl. The rudimentary ice jade Jiao opened its mouth and spat out a bead. It was a dragon pearl. This dragon pearl was the size of a fist and was covered with majestic dragon chi. This dragon chi reflected the surrounding scenery, making it look a little hazy. An extremely cold water-type power spread out from this dragon pearl. This power made Bai Yan feel very comfortable. It was even more comfortable than scraping the scales from the little rib fish and smearing them on its scales. However, no matter how comfortable it was, Bai Yan could not let his temper take this dragon pearl for himself. A main dragon spitting out a pearl was already the limit of the main dragon bloodline. When the dragon pearl transformed into spirit, the main dragon would break through the original shackles and step into a new bloodline level. After the immortal ice jade flood dragon kept the dragon pearl, a simple puppet appeared in front of it. This was the immortal body formed by the immortal ice jade flood dragon. As the immortal body of the immortal ice jade flood dragon increased in quality, the immortal body would show more and more colors and become more and more exquisite. The immortal ice jade flood dragon's human form would also recover more and more fey characteristics. Lin Yuan said to Long Du with a smile. Congratulations on successfully becoming immortal. How the Long family will replace the position of whale ocean trade will depend on you to show your strength to the other top factions and obtain recognition. Long Du and the immortal ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan. Lord Lin Yuan, we know what to do next. Thank you, Lord Lin Yuan, for giving Coiling Dragon Valley a chance to prosper. If Coiling Dragon Valley needed anything from now on, Lord Lin Yuan could assign it. Coiling Dragon Valley would go through fire and water without any hesitation. When Lin Yuan heard that, he suddenly remembered that his source sand still needed the mountain-containing embryo to improve its quality. I really need a set of spiritual ingredients. I wonder if your Coiling Dragon Valley has a mountain-containing embryo? I need at least 3 mountain-containing embryos to enhance phase. Long Tao knew of Black's identity. Upon hearing that Lin Yuan wanted to use the mountain-containing embryo to enhance phase, he immediately thought of Lin Yuan's source sand. Brother Lin Yuan, our coiling dragon valley has some stock of mountain-capacity embryos. There should be 7 or 8 of them. I'll pack them up for you when we get back. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not refuse. Although 3 or 4 mountain-containing embryos could raise the source sand's quality to fantasy V, it was far from enough. However, more of the mountain-containing embryo was absorbed by the source sand, allowing it to produce more guard sand. The increase in the number of guard sand was equivalent to increasing the strength of the source sand. Lin Yuan followed the Long family back to the coiling dragon valley and accepted their hospitality. Unexpectedly, as soon as they finished their meal, a large number of insect cries rang out in the valley behind the old house in the coiled dragon valley. The people in the coiling dragon valley were not surprised by the sudden buzzing of insects. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Long Tao explained to Lin Yuan. This should be another Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift that expanded to the pinnacle of Class 4. If a pinnacle faction opened a dimensional rift on its own, it would not be able to do so. If there were experts in the faction, they could easily suppress the dimensional lifeforms in the dimensional rift. Generally, they would choose to place a large number of source-type items in Class 4 dimensional rifts. Due to the lack of sacred source lifeforms, Class 4 dimensional rifts could not be upgraded to Class 5. However, when a Class 4 dimensional rift became a pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, the dimensional rift's production would greatly increase. Ever since Lin Yuan had asked the coiling dragon valley to help him keep an eye on the imperial armored martial god insects, the coiling dragon valley had collected a total of 7 imperial armored martial god insects for him. Now, these 7 imperial armored martial god insects, which were comparable to Myth 2 phase, were being controlled by the heaven fragrance beauty butterfly like obedient babies. Upon hearing that the Long family had a ready-made pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, Lin Yuan's interest was piqued. The probability of a pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift producing imperial armored martial god insects was 100 times that of a low-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It was 30 times that of a mid-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. When Lin Yuan expressed that he wanted to enter the pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the coiling dragon valley's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately expressed that he wanted to accompany Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not refuse. Lin Yuan had already sent Bai Yan back to the swamp world. It was undoubtedly inconvenient to call Bai Yan out for any small matter. With Long Du accompanying him, Lin Yuan could collect the imperial armored martial god insects at the fastest speed. Lin Yuan might be lucky enough to encounter the special form of alien insects like the imperial armored martial god insects. After entering the Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, Lin Yuan found that everywhere he looked was almost covered with alien insects. Just as Long Du was about to make a move, Lin Yuan released a 6-winged demon with a wave of his hand. This 6-winged demon trembled when it saw Long Du. Immediately after, Long Du saw this 6-winged demon wave its hand and sprinkle countless powder-like things. When the powder was sprinkled among the insect swarm became chaotic. A large number of strange flesh-like flowers grew among the insect swarm. Just as these alien insects were about to attack the flesh-like flowers, the flesh-like flowers sprayed out powder all over the sky. In an instant, flower vines covered the area under their feet. The flower vines wantonly preyed among the insect swarm, turning any alien insect that they could touch into food. Occasionally, a few powerful alien insects would be continuously added with some negative effects in this sea of flower vines. In the end, they would decay into dregs. Lin Yuan originally had the idea of using the pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift to see Red Thorn's strength. He did not expect that Red Thorn could already leave its main body and summon the sea of flowers to fight. However, compared to summoning its main body, Red Thorn's current fighting style was undoubtedly much weaker. Just as Long Du was about to summon the weak water ice jade flood dragon and let it transform into its main body, while carrying Lin Yuan to search the Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Black Dragon King suddenly appeared. 2 pairs of black wings suddenly extended from Lin Yuan's back. However, these 2 pairs of wings were just the beginning. More and larger black wings condensed behind Lin Yuan. In a short while, Lin Yuan was like a 12-winged black angel, flapping his wings and soaring in the sky. Lin Yuan used the 12-winged black wings to fly at a speed that secretly shocked Long Du. The increase in the source sand strength allowed Lin Yuan's flying speed to greatly increase. This speed was already comparable to the speed of a platinum/fantasy breed flying fae. More day and night spirit silver turned into feathers, allowing Lin Yuan to change the size of his wings at will. Chapter 1521. When Red Thorn preyed on plants, it had no concept of wings, or rather, it was completely indifferent. But now, Red Thorn's bloodline had transformed into a fairy source-type life form. In Red Thorn's subconscious, it had already regarded wings as the most attractive thing. Now, there were a total of 6 pairs of wings on Lin Yuan's back. It made Red Thorn's eyes emit little stars. Red Thorn flew up and hugged Lin Yuan's cheek, unwilling to let go. Seeing Red Thorn's infatuated look, Lin Yuan felt a little helpless. When he held Red Thorn in his hand, Red Thorn had an aggrieved expression. Lin Yuan could only allow Red Thorn to hug his cheek and rub its little face against it. Under Red Thorn's command, the sea of flowers under his feet used the alien insects as a camp. They kept spreading inside the Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. Wherever Lin Yuan went, the sea of flowers under his feet opened up a path. The sea of flowers formed by nibbling vines was the best screening machine. While killing the weak alien insects on the surface, only those powerful alien insects were left. Lin Yuan did not let Long Du make a move against these powerful alien insects. Lin Yuan released 12 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies. The 5 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies that did not control the imperial armored martial god insects controlled these powerful alien insects. Then, he let the other 7 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies control the imperial armored martial god insects and turn their carapace into sharp blades. He had to kill all the alien insects that were being controlled. The heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies' method of killing the alien insects in the name of love was extremely demonic among the insect corpses. This ability belonged to the butterfly-type phase among the insect-type phase. However, compared to Purple Firmament, these heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies' charm ability was much weaker. Soon, Lin Yuan found the goal of his trip. The imperial armored martial god insects were extremely aggressive insect-type phase. Especially when they saw their own kind, they would often fight to the death. Even when they saw the opposite sex, they would still kill. They would only show mercy when they encountered the opposite sex during the mating phase. This population characteristic destined the imperial armored martial god insects to be rare. It was precisely this characteristic that made each imperial armored martial god insect a battle-hardened warrior. Lin Yuan saw the 2 emperor armored martial god insects that were like Gundams fiercely colliding with each other with their insect blades. One of the royal armored martial god insects was obviously severely injured. However, the strength of this injured imperial armored martial god insect was slightly stronger than the other uninjured imperial armored martial god insect. This meant that the emperor armored martial god bug's injuries were not caused during the battle. At the same time, Lin Yuan keenly discovered that the carapace on the back of this injured imperial armored martial god insect had split from its original 2 halves into 4 halves. It made the 4 halves of the carapace on its back feel like 4 wings of steel. At that time, Lin Yuan had seen the imperial armored martial god insect in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. That was why he decided to use the royal armored martial god insects to pull the Fey carriage. The injured royal armored martial god insect in front of him had obviously mutated. It was just that the mutation was not complete. Lin Yuan did not immediately intervene in the battle between the 2 royal armored martial god insects. Instead, he was prepared to wait and see. When Lan Qin introduced the mutated emperor armored martial god bug, she had said that the emperor armored martial god bug's mutation would only last for an instant. Every time an emperor armored martial god insect gains enlightenment in a life or death situation, its wings will split open once. Thus, it can turn its wings into its own weapon to make up for its shortcomings in attack. Because this mutated emperor armored martial god insect's injuries are too severe. Even if it uses the 4 wings on its back to fight, it is still gradually at a disadvantage. After being slashed several times by the opposite emperor armored martial god insect's insect blades. This seriously injured emperor armored martial god insect tried its best to resist with its carapace. Perhaps it felt the threat of death, or the mutated genes had broken through its own limits. The thicker end of the carapace split open again. The 4 wings, which originally only had a wingspan of 6 meters, instantly became 6 wings with a wingspan of 13 meters. The 6 wings overlapped and instantly beheaded the emperor armored martial god insect that had launched a fierce attack on him. Although he had lost an emperor armored martial god insect in this battle, Lin Yuan did not mind at all. Compared to an ordinary emperor armored martial god insect, Lin Yuan was more willing to have an emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice. This emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice was already roughly the same as the specimen in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. Lin Yuan let the only heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly that had broken through control this emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice. As a result, this emperor armored martial god insect had just experienced an intense battle and became a subject under the heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly's skirt. Lin Yuan was very lucky in this trip to the pinnacle class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It just happened to fill the gap of 5 emperor armored martial god insects. After leaving the opening Dragon Valley and returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan first threw all 9 pieces of the mountain-containing embryo to the source sand. He let the source sand slowly absorb the mountain-containing embryo. If an elemental source-type life form like the source sand wanted to improve its quality, it needed a certain amount of time to accumulate. However, before the Radiance 100 sequence, the source sand's quality could always be improved to Fantasy V. Blackie was originally a water-type Fae, and so was the weak water ice jade flood dragon. Therefore, the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood was the most suitable nourishment for Blackie. 3 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood allowed Blackie's quality to improve all the way to Fantasy V. The Fantasy V Blackie's body expanded once again. It grew from its original length of 100 meters to nearly 300 meters. This length made Blackie look exceptionally mighty and domineering. However, when he thought of Blackie's goose-like personality, Lin Yuan could not help but complain. Looks are indeed the best at bluffing. Other than the change in body size, the grade upgrade this time was different. Lin Yuan realized that Blackie actually had the ability to control the clouds. While flying, he could use the clouds to shield his body and command the clouds to create thunder and rain. It was a power that could only be grasped by a flood dragon species Fae when it became a main dragon species. Now that Little Black could faintly control the clouds, it meant that Little Black had mutated into a main dragon species. Anyway, he still had 2 drops of essence blood of the weak water ice jade Jiao in his hands. Lin Yuan decided to feed Blackie the 2 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood. If he couldn't upgrade it to a main dragon species Fae, he would treat it as a waste of essence blood. Once it became a main dragon species Fae, Blackie's bloodline would overturn the common understanding that there were no main dragon species below the myth breed. In the eyes of some creation masters, this understanding couldn't be broken. However, in this half a year, Lin Yuan had broken common sense and understanding countless times. His Blackie had always been nurtured with the best method, so it wasn't impossible to break common sense and understanding. As expected, Blackie didn't disappoint Lin Yuan. Instant Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1522. With 2 drops of rudimentary ice jade Jiao's blood essence, Blackie's dragon power suddenly increased by a level. A large amount of clouds gathered around Blackie, making its 300-meter-long body faintly discernible. Golden lightning swam within the clouds, and a torrential rain suddenly fell. A domineering and arrogant dragon roar echoed throughout the return from faraway manor. It symbolized the arrival of a master dragon. The angelfish of bliss in the hidden Wirm lake had gotten used to Blackie's presence. Knowing that Blackie would not harm them, they no longer hid from him. But now that Blackie's aura had changed, these angelfish of bliss began to hide from him again. Lin Yuan estimated that in the past 2 weeks, it would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely. It would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely in the hidden Wirm lake. In the boundless night, a wild laughter came from the mouth of a golden-haired uncle. Second page of revival, we are both kings on this trip. Don't expect me to assist you. The golden-haired uncle had an incomparably righteous face. This long face made the middle-aged man feel that whatever he did was righteous. The girl next door with a pair of gray wings behind her looked at the golden-haired uncle with dead eyes. His tone sounded like he was singing a funeral song. 6th page whipping, I don't care what you do on this trip. But in the Radiance Federation, when I need to use the sacred source life form, the Black Mass Cup, you have to activate it. I have lost contact with the 2 seeds of the garden-haired konjac and one of the clusters. I can no longer sense their presence by relying on the main body of the garden-haired konjac. I released these 2 seeds and clusters to absorb energy for the advancement of the round garden-haired konjac. Now that the main body of the garden-haired konjac is missing, I can't retrieve the seeds and clusters. The garden-haired konjac will never be able to cross that threshold. Baidu search. This will affect the 100-year plan of our tower cannon, the revival of the hibernators. Don't forget what Lady Scarlet told you when you came here. 6th page whipping's expression changed slightly when he heard 2nd page of revival. His sharp eyes stared at 2nd page of revival. The destiny page is dead, but the tower cannon's page will be replaced soon. I asked 3 pages eternal sin, and he doesn't know who this Scarlet Page is. As soon as Scarlet Page arrived, he revealed his strength and gave us a show of strength. No one truly respects him, yet you call him Lord. It seems like the 2nd page of Renaissance knows the identity of the 1st page of Scarlet. I am the esteemed 6th page of the Pagoda Canon, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that even I, the grand 6th page, cannot see through the Pagoda Canon. If you want me to use the Black Mass Chalice, you should at least give me a reason. The consequences of the Black Mass Cup's activation will cause the Radiant side to immediately retaliate against our tower cannon. When 2nd page revival heard 6th page whip's words, his expression changed. From the original deathly stillness and resentment, she became as pure as the girl next door. You only need to know how to use the Cup of Black Massachusetts, the 100-year plan of the Pagoda Cannon and the resurrection of the slumbering ones cannot be lost. Lord Crimson Page will handle Hui Yao's revenge. When 6th page whip heard 2nd page revival's words, a playful expression appeared on his face. At the same time, deep fear flashed in his eyes. It was as if he was thinking about the red fingers engraved with a strange totem under the crimson robe. When he thought about the red fingers engraved with the strange totem, 6th page whip could not help but shiver. Could it be that the legendary person could live for thousands of years without dying? In a Blackstone castle, the youth looked at the young girl who was holding a mop and grabbed the mop. He said to the young girl unhappily, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." The young girl rubbed the soft curly hair on the youth's head with her palm and said, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants serving in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." When the young girl heard that, she used her palm to rub the soft curly hair on the youth's head. "If you don't let me, I don't know what I can do. If you don't let Big Sister do it, I don't know what I can do in a day. Big Sister doesn't have the talent to be a spirit chi professional, so I can't help you." When the youth heard that, his eyes could not help but turn red. Even if the lords in the stars had allowed him to become a creation master and old Mother Earth, he would not be able to do so. The people around him who had bullied him in the past had all become respectful of him and were trying to please him. But his sister would always be the same as before. However, the young man's stubbornness came out, and he didn't want his sister to do any more hard work. Suddenly, the youth thought of an idea and said to the girl, "Sis, you don't have the talent of a spirit chi professional, but you can still contract some special source-type items. Sister, didn't you like to arrange flowers and draw since you were young? I love looking at Big Sister's paintings. When Big Sister contracts source-type items in the future, I'll help Big Sister strengthen them, and Big Sister can go and do some flower arrangements, okay?" Hearing this, the young girl was slightly startled. He did not expect that there would be a day when he could contract source-type items without the talent of a spirit chi professional. She knew how stubborn her younger brother could be since he was young. The girl decided to agree first. Her younger brother had grown up. If only her father and mother were still alive. They would probably have a smile on their faces. I really don't know who the benefactor that my brother has been talking about is. I wish I could thank him in person. At this moment, a voice came from the door. A middle-aged man with a face full of embroidery knocked on the door respectfully. After getting a response, he walked in and said, "Lord Bupa, Heavenly Mother wishes to see you." This middle-aged man was a strong practitioner at the peak of king level, and he was an inspector that Heavenly Mother had sent to Mother Earth Palace. This kind of supervisory attendant sent down by Heavenly Mother didn't need to be too polite to Mother Earth in the underground castle. However, the middle-aged man knew how astonishing the talent of the youth in front of him was. He actually completed the Class 3 Creation Master exam. This matter not only alarmed the Heavenly Mother, but even the Divine Mother received the news. In the future, this young man would probably become a disciple that even the Heavenly Mother would have to bow to. Bupa nodded and said, "I'll go see Heavenly Mother immediately." At night, Bupa returned to the Blackstone Fort in a daze. He felt that everything was like a dream. He was actually going to the Imperial City to pay his respects to the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother would personally test him and decide whether or not to accept him as a disciple. This was an honor that Bupa didn't even dare to dream of. With this honor, Bupa was even more grateful to the man with the code name Lion among the stars. This kind of gratitude even surpassed Bupa's sense of belonging to the Divine Mother Federation. If it wasn't for that Lord, Bupa knew that his sister would have died after being defiled. His injuries would have even caused him to die before his sister. Bupa put his palms together and thought to himself, "If I can become the Divine Mother's disciple, I'm willing to repay the Lord with the Divine Mother Federation for saving my sister and saving my sister's life." Instant update Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1523. After making his wish, the young man stood up, turned around, and ran toward his sister's room. He shouted from his mouth, "Sister, we're going to the capital tomorrow." In a tavern filled with the smell of oysters, a man was sitting next to a dark, skinny youth. He said as he drank the blood wine in his cup, "Little monkey, next time you see someone causing trouble, drag him out and beat him to death. Although we're running a tavern, our business is to escort ships at sea. This is not a place for these troublemakers to drink and cause trouble." Somehow, he had escaped from the sea. Warren began to enjoy drinking blood wine and eating softened shark meat. The blood wine reminded Warren of how his brother had bled for him when he was in a desperate situation. The softened shark meat reminded Warren to be on guard against any incoming danger. Warren was still as kind to the crew as ever, but he was still the same. These crew members were Warren's sworn brothers who had been through life and death together. However, it was undeniable that the little monkey had become the person that Warren valued the most. Little Monkey said seriously after hearing Warren's words, "Brother Warren, if anyone dares to cause trouble again, I'll definitely use the rudder to chop off their heads. Those who are drunk and causing trouble here are mostly people sent by other fleets to gather information. We don't have any girls here. Which decent sailor would come to our inn to drink?" Warren narrowed his eyes and glared at the little monkey. "Damn it, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about a proper sailor?" Warren patted the little monkey's shoulder and said, "Go and inform them first." Although there are only 7 fleets this time, I will lead them on a big one. Let them see with their own eyes that the sawtooth sharks are no longer a nightmare for ships. Our tavern will naturally become lively." Warren stared at the dim lights in the tavern. It was as if he could see through the flames and see the man surrounded by rules and wills among the stars. Warren, who possessed the diamond/fantasy breed blue-ringed giant octopus, was much stronger than before. It was precisely because of this that Warren understood the man codenamed Lion better. What kind of power did it possess? His entire team's annual income at sea wasn't even enough to invite a Class 4 creation master to take action once. That figure actually used an unbelievable method to accomplish something that only Class 4 creation masters could do. At the same time, Warren knew that the figure didn't just possess the resources of a Class 4 creation master. How could an ordinary Class 4 creation master obtain a bronze/legend Fae? That figure was Warren's secret and also Warren's benefactor. Most of the navigators of the Storm Federation believed in a god. On the masts of ships sailing on the sea, there were always carvings of sea dragons. It was rumored that in the depths of the sea around the Storm Federation, there was a huge sea dragon sleeping at the bottom of the sea. This legend had always been passed down by the navigators. But not long ago, Warren erased the sea dragon totem on the mast of the Warren. Warren carved 2 thrones on the mast according to his memory. A man with a Leo nebula above his head sat on a throne. On the other throne sat a woman with a Libra nebula above her head. Compared to the illusory sea dragon, Warren believed in these 2 figures more. For the god in Warren's heart. As he stood up, a cold light flashed across Warren's eyes. For the sake of resources, the voyagers were always fighting over them. They were not willing to unite. However, his god wanted him to establish a faction. As for those voyagers who only wanted to fight for resources, he could only apologize. Anyone who obstructed his path had to die. Only those who were obedient would be able to survive. It was unknown if it was because he had contracted the blue-ringed sea octopus and had more interactions with it. Due to the influence of the blue-ringed sea octopus, Warren became more and more iron-blooded. However, only iron-blooded people would be able to achieve their goals more easily. It would also be easier to protect his old comrades. Based on the time, it should be almost 7 days. Warren was looking forward to the second gathering among the stars. At that moment, Warren felt a nebula among the stars giving him guidance. Warren's heart immediately became excited. After giving some instructions, Warren returned to his room. After locking the door, Warren responded to the call of the nebula. After 7 days, the gathering among the stars was going to start again. This time, it wasn't just Ian Lin. Bei Su, Talay, Bu Pa, and Warren were also participating. Sui Iran, who was in the Divine Wood Federation, also accepted this guidance. Suran would accept the guidance, but not because he had something to do at the Celestial Body Assembly. Not long ago, when Lin Yuan had helped the myth breed phase through the world cleansing and harvested spirit chi crystals. He had been to the Divine Wood Federation once. At that time, he had provided Sui Iran with all the supplies for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. At the same time, he had given her 20 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts. Holding these walnuts, Sui Iran thought for a long time. She had finally decided to choose 12 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts and make them into core bells. They hung on the 14 millet fruits. This could not only enhance the Love Square's prestige but also attract the descendants of the wealthy families in the Divine Wood Federation. To Suiran, these descendants of the rich and powerful were the perfect source of information. They could help her obtain information that only the major factions would circulate in the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had already said that he would not come to the Divine Wood Federation in the short term. He had asked her to deal with the Divine Wood Federation's matters. At the same time, he had given her a magical piece of paper that could be written on with her spiritual power. Through the paper, even if she was on 2 different continents, she could still exchange information very well. But for some reason, Sui Iran really wanted to have the opportunity to sit face to face with Lin Yuan. Therefore, even if Sui Iran was fine, after feeling the guidance, she still came to join in the fun. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the golden throne of the Leo constellation, looked at the 6 people who had received guidance and nodded. It seemed that Bu Pe and Warren had survived. Before Lin Yuan could say anything, Bu Pe spoke with gratitude. Lion, because of your help, my elder sister has escaped from the abyss of suffering. I have also become a Class 3 creation master. I'm Mother Earth now. I heard from the Heavenly Mother who tested me that she wants to take me to see the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is very likely to accept me as a disciple. When Bu Pe saw Lin Yuan, it was as if she had seen a family member. She told him her experience without any scruples. Bei Su and Trey did not react to Bu Pe's words. With Bei Su and Trey's information reserves, they had never heard of Earth Mother, Heavenly Mother, or the Divine Mother. However, Sui Iran, who was a Dark Envoy, and Azure Envoy, were not unfamiliar with the Divine Mother Federation. They were no strangers to the Divine Mother Federation, which had Class 5 creation masters. Chapter 1524. As a navigator, Warren had also heard that it was not far from the Storm Federation. The Federation's combat power was abnormally strong. The appearance of a 14- or 15-year-old Class 3 creation master would definitely cause a commotion in the Mother Goddess Federation. Even if it appeared in the Dark 7 states in the Azure Federation, it would still be shocking. He immediately received the attention of the higher-ups. If this youth named Bu Pe could become a Class 3 creation master at such a young age, Bu Pe wouldn't be able to do so. There was at least an 80% chance that he would become a disciple of the Divine Mother. Of course, this was only possible in the Mother Goddess Federation. That was because the Mother Goddess Federation was like a machine that was perfectly fitted together. Every step of the operation would be reported to the Mother Goddess. There would be no accidents or mistakes. If it was the Azure Federation or the Dark 7 states, Bu Pe might have been secretly hidden by some force and kept to be nurtured. Or perhaps he had attracted the jealousy of others on his path of growth and was assassinated. Yin Lin wanted to befriend both Bu Pe and Sui Iran. Both of them were surprised by the value of being a member of the Celestial Council. Among these few people, there were actually so many envoys of the Federation. If it continued to develop, the Heavenly Body Council would probably become a miniature assembly of 10,000 states. Bu Pe, who was thanking Lin Yuan, suddenly burst into tears for some reason. After getting Lin Yuan's help, Bu Pe was no longer as bitter as before. He and his sister were living a life that they had never dared to imagine in the past. It was also because of this that Bu Pe's mood was so agitated after seeing Lin Yuan. Warren knelt on both knees and kowtowed to Wen Yu and Lin Yuan devoutly. Leo, Libra, I've already established the fledgling Voyage Guild. After this, I will do my best to gather the fleet together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Warren was definitely a career-oriented person. In just a short 7 days, he had already established the basic structure of his force. Trey came to Bu Pe's side from the moment her tears fell. Step up to comfort Amber. Seeing that Bu Pe was no longer crying, Trey said to Lin Yuan. Master, Grandpa caught a group of rockhorn camels in the wasteland. When these rockhorn camels run, they are more than twice as fast as we normally run. In another 27 or 28 days, I will be able to reach the border of the Divine Wood Federation. There were less than 20 days left before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. After the Radiance 100 sequence selection, he would let Swiren meet with Trey. Then, they would apply for the territory at the border. Over at Beishu's side, it was still the same. However, with Lin Yuan's help, Bei Su had become a creation master. The grade and quality of his subordinate source-type items had improved. The current Bei Su was no longer dragging a bunch of fuel bottles into battle. These oil bottles all had combat strength, and they were more than enough to help Bei Su. When the Celestial Council was about to end, Yin Lin said softly to Lin Yuan. I still have 12 days before I can reach the Radiance Federation. The Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission is also traveling with me. On the way here, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission wanted to form an alliance with us, but I rejected them. Upon hearing Yin Lin's words, the expressions on Lin Yuan and Wen Yu's faces changed significantly. Before Yin Lin could finish her words, Yin Lin paused for a moment before continuing. The Freedom Federation's envoy team must be plotting something against Biyao. It's just that I'm not sure what this idea is. In addition, you have to be careful of a source-type item called Cocoon Demon Embryo. Fortunately, I managed to keep the 12 Cocoon Demon Embryos that they traded with me. But we can't rule out the possibility that they have more Cocoon Demon Embryos in their hands. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu looked at each other. Obviously, they had never heard of something like a Cocoon Demon Embryo. It was no wonder, as the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had always been enemies. However, the Azure Federation, the Radiance Federation, and the Freedom Federation had established diplomatic relations. The Azure Federation naturally had a better understanding of the Freedom Federation's situation than the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan attached great importance to Yin Lin's information. It was expected that the Freedom Federation's envoys would cause trouble during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. At that time, it would definitely be a head-on clash, and there would be no tricks to speak of. However, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission would choose to ally with the Azure Federation's diplomatic mission. The original conflict between the two federations was dragged into a third federation. It seemed like the movement of the Freedom Federation's diplomatic corps would be very big. Yin Lin would deliberately remind him to be careful of source-type items like Cocoon Demon Embryos. Lin Yuan felt that he had to ask about the demon embryo's function. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Yin Lin explained in detail. The Cocoon Demon Embryo is a special source-type item that can cause insect-type carcinoma phase to mutate and gain intelligence. Break through the restraints of the original rank, comprehend the willpower rune, and continuously evolve toward a fantasy breed and myth breed. At this point, Yin Lin had already explained the dangers of cocooning demon embryos. However, when Lin Yuan and Wen Yu heard Yin Lin's explanation, their eyes lit up. The Cocoon Demon Embryo was a source-type item tailor-made for Lu Jie. Lu Jie's current fighting style was no longer just controlling the Insect Queen. Most of them relied on the Insect Queen to control those insect-type carcinoma phase. This made Lu Jie different from ordinary spirit chi professionals. Instead, it was more like a catastrophe engine. Controlling an insect-type carcinoma fey to fight might be powerful, but it wasn't the same as controlling an insect fey. However, this kind of strength was only targeted at the environment, not at a single individual. As a result, when Lu Jie fought against prodigies with multiple feys, he had no advantage at all. No matter how strong the insect queen was, it was still an insect-type source-type life form. However, if he had the cocoon transformation demon embryo, he would be able to break through all of his insect species carcinoma phase. It could be used as a fey. Such a Lu Jie was terrifying. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu could already predict what a terrifying humanoid disaster Lu Jie would become. The demon embryo cocoon was the opportunity that Lu Jie had been waiting for. According to what Yin Lin had just said, there were a total of 12 cocoon demon embryos. And they were all in Yin Lin's hands. Lin Yuan said to Yin Lin very seriously. I'm very interested in the 12 cocoon demon embryos in your hands. I wonder if I can trade with you. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Yin Lin replied subconsciously. Lion, I'll just give it to you directly. These things are useless in my hands. However, the matter of cocooning the demon embryo is of great importance. It's not appropriate for me to stay in the listening heron chamber of commerce. Once the person in charge is negligent, it is very likely to bring disaster to the Radiance sect. That's why, Lion, I want to meet you and personally hand you the cocoon demon embryo. Chapter 1525. Su Yiren pursed her lips at Yin Lin's words. To Su Yiren, Yin Lin was beyond saving. It was clearly a deal, but you didn't want anything in return. You just wanted to meet her face. From Su Yiren's point of view, Yin Lin, this Azure envoy, was a little silly. However, Su Yiren had forgotten that she also wanted to see Lin Yuan. That was why he came to the Celestial Body Council to join in the fun. Upon hearing Yin Lin's words, Lin Yuan hesitated for a moment before nodding. Okay, let's meet at the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. Upon hearing that, Yin Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of anticipation, excitement, and nervousness. The star-studded banquet came to an end in Yin Lin's anticipation. After the heavenly body meeting ended, Lin Yuan continued to enhance phase as usual. He was seeking to break through as a spirit chi professional. At the same time, he observed Chimie and Genius. In these few days, Miao Zhenshan's heart fell from the clouds to the bottom of the valley. Finally, it sank into the bottomless abyss. The Miao family's beast creation garden was prepared to rebuild its glory with the blood of the 7 old families. Within 4 days, he had arranged 7 blood oath extreme battles. The Miao family's beast creation garden was already notorious. Miao Zhenshan was not afraid that the Miao family's beast creation garden would bear even more notoriety. The resources of the 7 veteran factions, together with the new emperor-level experts of the Miao family's beast creation garden, it was enough for the Miao family's beast creation garden to recover to its peak. Moreover, Lin Yuan had already spoken before. Miao Zhenshan refused to believe that Sky City would help these veteran powers if he did not provoke them. But Miao Zhenshan never thought that things would really develop in a direction that he couldn't believe. In the first Blood Oath Extreme Battle, the Miao family's beast creation garden had already lost 3 Emperor-class experts. The Miao family's beast creation garden had once again become the laughing stock of the entire Radiance Federation. Even the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple became a topic of discussion on the Star Web again. Miao Zhenshan's first reaction was to contact Lin Yuan. However, Miao Zhenshan found that Lin Yuan's phone could no longer be reached. Another 2 days passed, and the Miao family lost 12 Emperor-level experts in a row. More than half of the great Emperor-level powerhouses of the Miao family had been killed. These were the foundations of the Miao family's beast creation garden. At this moment, Miao Zhenshan's heart was suddenly filled with regret. Since he could not contact Lin Yuan, Miao Zhenshan could only contact the other top factions that had established relations with the Miao family's beast creation garden. He wanted to ask these top forces for help. In the end, these top forces directly shed all pretense of cordiality with Miao Zhenshan. Fuck. The black figure sent by Sky City was clearly at the peak stage of the god of creation. He had even touched the undying level. Sky City was once known as the 4th most powerful force in the world. You want us to help because we have too many Emperor-level experts in our faction. Sending them to their deaths? What a black-hearted maggot. Miao Zhenshan, who could not receive any help, had no choice but to contact Sky City. In the end, there was no response at all. Miao Zhenshan couldn't get in touch with Sky City, so he went to contact the veteran forces that he had been targeting. He hoped that those old powers would join him in dissolving the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. He would compensate them after the event. In the end, all of these veteran forces firmly refused. Miao Zhenshan, who had no idea what to do, sat powerlessly in the old house of the Miao family. On the 3rd day, they lost another 6 Emperor-level experts. On the 4th day, Miao Zhenshan was no longer prepared to send any Emperor-level experts. It would be fine if any 3 of them went to their deaths. As long as he was still alive, no veteran faction would have the guts to come and settle the score. Unexpectedly, on the 4th day, which was the 7th Blood Oath Extreme Duel's defeat, the veteran faction that won brought their men to the old house of the Miao family's beast creation garden. Just as Miao Zhenshan was about to counterattack, a black figure flashed by. The Miao family's beast creation garden, which had continued to write for hundreds of years, had officially come to an end. As a pinnacle Emperor-level expert, Miao Zhenshan had become the 5th humanoid weapon. He had become the 5th humanoid weapon controlled by Red Thorn's tongue of relinquish. Lin Yuan's days were peaceful and prosperous. Now, he could almost do it without paying attention to what was happening outside the window. He constantly enhanced his phase while watching Genius and Chimie constantly grow. More and more golden patterns appeared on Chimie's azure blue feathers. Chimey flapped its wings. These golden patterns would vibrate and let out a clear cry. It was like plucking the strings of a lute and playing with the lute. Genius's changes were on its tails. Previously, Genius had 8 pure white tails growing on its back. Now, Genius's 8 tails had extended again. However, the ends of the extended tails were no longer fur but spiritual energy. After communicating with Genius, Lin Yuan realized that Genius could now use its 8 tails like it was using its hands. This allowed Genius to use its 8 tails and spiritual energy to form a palm when concocting spirit fluids. This increased the speed of concocting spirit fluids. Genius could even split its 8 tails into groups of 2. Every 2 tails would form a group, and with the spiritual energy palm, it could concoct 5 types of spirit fluids at the same time. Of course, these 5 types of spirit fluids must be of the same type. If it were to concoct 5 different types of spirit fluids at the same time, there might be a chance of success, but the probability of failure would undoubtedly be much higher. Over the past few days, Purple Firmament hadn't gone to the swamp world. Instead, he lay listlessly on the Jasmine Lily, which had been upgraded to Diamond X/Fantasy V. She saw that the other companion's quality had improved, but her quality had not changed. She couldn't help but feel anxious, but there was nothing she could do. How could the Nirvana butterfly be so easy to find? Lin Yuan had been comforting Purple Firmament for the past few days. As the most beautiful fae in the world, when had Purple Firmament ever suffered such a blow? Lin Yuan's comfort was simply not enough to restore Purple Firmament's vitality. Instead, it made Purple Firmament increasingly feel that she was useless. Now, even those withered heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies could play a role. However, he rarely had a chance to use it in battle. Recently, Lu Jia had gone to the land of spirit suppression for seclusion, and there was no chef in the mansion. When you originally wanted to shoulder the responsibility of a chef. However, the dishes cooked by Wen Yu were difficult for him to swallow. She simply ordered takeout from the Spirit Food Pavilion. This allowed the Mother of Bloodbath, which occasionally changed its taste, to discover a new world. It was not that Lu Jia's usual cooking was not as good as the Spirit Food Pavilion's. In the Mother of Bloodbath's heart, Lu Jia's cooking was the best in the world. However, Lu Jia's cooking was tiring, and the Mother of Bloodbath could not fill its stomach. As a myth-breed fae, no matter how much Lu Jia cooked, the Mother of Bloodbath could easily eat it. Moreover, it was in a hurry to eat and digest. Eating was just a way for the Mother of Bloodbath to satisfy its appetite. Chapter 1526. The Mother of Bloodbath, who had discovered the delivery function, placed orders in the Spirit Food Pavilion like flowing water. Half of the dishes made by the chefs of the imperial capital's Spirit Food Pavilion were probably sent to the return from faraway manor. He felt that if he introduced Zhao Xiaochun to the Mother of Bloodbath, the two of them would definitely become the best foodie partners. On this day, Lin Yuan was eating downstairs as usual. The glow-winged butterflies living in the purple sandalwood longevity fish tank and spirit-containing hibiscus were flying in the house as usual. The glow-winged butterfly's skill had the ability to remove dust. It could be said that the glow-winged butterfly had always been the most diligent housekeeper in the manor. The glow-winged butterflies fluttering in the manor were already a scene that everyone was used to seeing. Very few people would look at these glow-winged butterflies again. While eating the takeaway, the bored Lin Yuan wanted to take a look at the 5 fortune ranchu in the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. At that moment, Lin Yuan keenly noticed that a cluster of spirit-containing hibiscuses on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank had withered. That shouldn't be the case. Although the 3-tailed dragon phoenix landscape carps had been placed in the hidden flood dragon lake, the 5 fortune ranchu was still in the fish tank. After such a long time, Lin Yuan would place his hand on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank and inject pure spirit chi into it. This vat of 5 fortune ranches had already reached bronze X/epic. The spiritual energy released by the 99 bronze/epic 5 fortune ranches was already comparable to the spiritual energy content of a 2-star spirit liquid. Under the nourishment of this level of spirit chi, the spirit-containing hibiscuses had no reason to wilt. He decided to check out the situation. As a result, just as Lin Yuan approached and was about to touch this withered spirit-containing hibiscus with his hand, a dark red figure flew out from the withered spirit-containing hibiscuses. There was an obvious sense of fierceness and loneliness on this figure. However, this figure did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it circled around Lin Yuan and hesitated for a moment. Finally, it tentatively landed on Lin Yuan's collar and met his gaze. Its body was dark red, and its wings were like phoenix feathers. There were flame patterns in the shape of annual rings on its butterfly wings. This completely matched the appearance of the Nirvana sea butterfly. Originally, Lin Yuan did not know much about the Nirvana butterfly. However, during this period of time, in order to improve Purple Cloud's quality and restore its confidence, Lin Yuan had not given up. He looked through all the information he could find on the Nirvana butterfly. He also used his connections to ask others to help him search for the Nirvana sea butterfly. But so far, Lin Yuan had not gotten any valuable feedback. He used Morbius' exclusive ability, True Data, to check on the red butterfly on his shoulder. Fey name, Nirvana Abyss Butterfly, Spirit Species, Scale Butterfly / Swallowtail, Fey Grade, Bronze, 7/10, Fey Type, Fire / Spiritual, Fey Quality, Flawless Skills Frowny Face Scale Fire, flaps its wings to scatter scale powder. When activated, the scale powder can quickly ignite into flames and set all targets on fire. Quenching Reinforcement, use scale powder to form a quenching layer on the surface of the shield. The quenching layer can resist non-water damage, and at the same time, increase the defensive capabilities of the tempered shield. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Rebirth from the flames. When killed, as long as there is a flame from the scale powder, the target can be reborn from the flame. At first glance, Lin Yuan found that this red butterfly was really the Nirvana sea butterfly. It really didn't take any effort to find it. He had searched hard, but there had been no news. It turned out that what he was looking for had already appeared in the mansion. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the different glowing winged butterfly he had found before. At that time, he seemed to have found a glowing winged butterfly and was about to check it out. In the end, he was disturbed by something. That glowing winged butterfly must be this Nirvana sea butterfly. During the process of the glowing winged butterfly's metamorphosis into the Nirvana sea butterfly, its original wood-type energy would turn into fire-type. As a wood-type Fey, the glowing winged butterfly was very afraid of fire-type energy. This made the glowing winged butterfly very resistant to contact with the Nirvana sea butterfly and not dare to get close to it. This was the real reason why the Nirvana sea butterfly had left the group. Through the records, Lin Yuan learned that the Nirvana sea butterfly had a very fiery temper. It liked to cast scale powder on other targets and ignite them. Now, the Nirvana sea butterfly did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it showed a close attitude toward him. It meant that this Nirvana sea butterfly still remembered Lin Yuan's kindness in strengthening it. Lin Yuan raised his hand, and the Nirvana sea butterfly on his shoulder suddenly flew up. It landed firmly on Lin Yuan's fingertips. Seeing red butterfly on his fingertips, Lin Yuan was overjoyed. Firstly, Purple Firmament's quality could be smoothly improved. Secondly, Chu Ci had a new Fey. The Nirvana sea butterfly's normal ability, Scale Fire, could make it a fanatic that attracted fire everywhere. If the Nirvana sea butterfly wanted to, it could release scale powder in the mansion in the middle of the night. The house, which was surrounded by completely jade-textured wood, would burn in an instant. As the Nirvana sea butterfly's strength increased, the scale fire's power would become stronger. Moreover, the ignition effect was to urge the target's energy to burn. It would consume the target's energy. When the Nirvana sea butterfly was powerful to a certain extent, the scale fire it released could even ignite a river. The Nirvana sea butterfly's exclusive skill, Born from Flames, was very compatible with the normal ability, Scale Fire. As a butterfly Fey of the scale butterfly species, the scale powder on its wings could be easily regenerated. If the scale powder fell within a certain range, even if the Nirvana sea butterfly was killed by a powerful enemy. It could still use the fire ignited by the scale powder to revive. It was a kind of fae that could be indestructible in a special way. Of course, the Nirvana sea butterfly also had a natural enemy. The Nirvana sea butterfly, which relied on burning its scale powder to revive, was most afraid of fighting in the sea and other environments when it was not strong enough. As long as the Nirvana sea butterfly was not strong enough to ignite the seawater, the scattered scale powder would be washed away by the current. The Nirvana sea butterfly would not have the chance to born from flames. Ice-type faes were also the Nirvana sea butterfly's nemesis. Igniting ice was much more difficult than igniting water. Moreover, in an extremely cold environment, the scale powder ignited was easier to extinguish. The reason Lin Yuan decided to make the Nirvana sea butterfly Chu Si's fourth fae was not because of its normal ability and exclusive heat. It was because of the Nirvana sea butterfly's elite ability, ice quench reinforcement. The Nirvana sea butterfly was a defense-type fae. There were no standard defense-type faes among Chu Si's current contracted faes. Regardless of whether it was the yellow jadeite golden butterfly or the acne crystal clam that she was about to contract, they could all apply a shield. The Nirvana sea butterfly's quenching reinforcement could effectively enhance these shields. At the same time, the surface of the quenched shield could be aggressive. When used on the obsidian iron wild bull, it could make it more reckless. This kind of quenching ability was also very compatible with the burning sunflower twins. The two of them could enhance each other. Chapter 1527. The most important reason was that this Nirvana show butterfly was beautiful enough. With this Nirvana butterfly and acne crystal muscle, she would definitely be able to take off the title of Iron Ox Princess. Lin Yuan returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the Nirvana obsidian butterfly. Seeing the Nirvana butterfly, Zi Xiao immediately perked up. The moment Zi Xiao saw the Nirvana butterfly also noticed Zi Xiao. Butterfly species phase all had the characteristic of pursuing beauty. This Nirvana butterfly had already begun to circle around the purple firmament. He had turned from a cold and aloof fellow into a bootlicker. The Nirvana butterfly was one of the top 3 butterfly bloodlines. Including the slaughter sky butterfly, he had already mastered 2 of the 3 supreme butterfly species bloodlines. Without needing Lin Yuan to say anything, Purple Firmament had already let the Nirvana butterfly absorb the spirit chi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone and rapidly secrete the scale powder. Purple Cloud quickly absorbed the powder secreted by the Nirvana butterfly. Following the absorption of the Nirvana butterfly scale powder, Purple Cloud's quality increased at a visible rate. He advanced from Fantasy I to Fantasy II, then Fantasy III. In the end, it was upgraded to Fantasy V. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was nothing different about the Purple Firmament. She was as beautiful as ever. The Purple Heaven Beauty butterfly was already at the top of the pyramid in the world of attractiveness. There was no reference for comparison. However, if the current Purple Firmament was compared to the previous Purple Firmament, the Zixiao of the past and the current Zixiao were on completely different levels of existence. If Fantasy I's Purple Cloud was compared to the hotel's Little Pink, the current Fantasy V Purple Firmament was the Luo River's god of Luo. Since it was so beautiful in its fey form, Lin Yuan was very curious about how Purple Firmament, a male butterfly, would look when it transformed into its human form. Now, all of his fays were only lacking Chimey and Genius, which had been upgraded to Fantasy V. He would be able to reach the peak of his strength in a short period of time. After 2 more days of hard work, Lin Yuan, who had enhanced all the fays in the order, finally had some free time. Lin Yuan logged on to Star Web and found that, apart from the popular posts about the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, Sky City, and the Moon Empress Disciple, there were many other popular posts on Star Web's forum. There were also many hot posts about his identity as black. Lin Yuan could not help but be curious. It had been a while since his identity as black had shown up. He didn't even challenge the Heaven Stairway. How could it become a hot topic on Star Web? This was simply not right. When Lin Yuan clicked on the post to check, he immediately knew what was going on. It felt like his identity as black was the result of being spurted out. It was clearly written in the post. Black is no longer worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as Chu Ci and Lin Yuan. In the dark and silent months, there was no news at all. If it wasn't an accident, then it was Shang Zhongyong. Talent is just an exaggeration. It was this post that pulled the star web netizens' memories of Black. This allowed Black, who had been silent for a long time, to gain a lot of popularity. There were many comments below the post, and they were all attacking the original poster. Light of Tomorrow, isn't Black going to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence? It should be normal for him to not appear during the preparation for the Radiance 100 sequence, right? Mina sang, you have to speak with a conscience. No matter what, Black was still a hero who had saved Millstone Town. What are you trying to do by talking about hero? What's the meaning of this? Lost youth, Black had a winning streak and reached the celestial stairway. He possessed a silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae and the legendary blue/purple butterfly. Which of these did not prove Black's talent? Do I have to be seen by others to be considered talented? Can you see the majesties? How dare you say which majesty doesn't have talent and which majesty isn't strong? Brother Chi, I am a male mother, Black is at my house, thank you, our Black is not going to date with you. In addition to these voices of opposition, there were also some voices of agreement. Undead rave, Black and Lin Yuan have nothing to compete with in the first place. At most, they can only compete with Chu Ci. Everyone has seen Black's strength on the celestial stairway. There is no way he can defeat Meng Su. Moreover, Black is wearing a mask. How can you say that Black is younger than Lin Yuan? Mirrored flowers, reflected moon, Chu Ci has a bronze/fantasy breed Fae. There is no comparison between a bronze/fantasy breed Fae and a silver/fantasy breed Fae. He did not know why Black kept scamming Chu Ci and Lin Yuan. Black's fan club and official Tiaba forum had not made any moves despite Black's absence. Tian Ningning did not spread any more information about Black. Gradually, the number of people in the group decreased. There were also fewer people in the Tiaba forum. The ones who were always active were the old fans who hated him because of his character. In Black's official fan club, Lu Lang, who was known as Zuan Madman. Filled with righteous indignation, he was talking to the people in the group about this star web post. He was ready to pick up the keyboard again and strike hard. However, the counterattack of these few people was simply no match for the massive amount of doubts. Time would always drown some things. For example, Black, who had dominated the topic on Star Web a few months ago. Lin Yuan did not know about this because he did not take the post to heart at all. The Radiance 100 sequence test was about to begin. At that time, as long as he used Black's identity and revealed more strength, he would naturally stand in the center of Star Web's public opinion again. All the doubts would be shattered on their own. Just as Lin Yuan was about to check his purchase with No Lost Stores fan club. He wanted to see what he had gained from the auction of the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls. However, before Lin Yuan could check his gains, he was touched by a message in the group. Stream in the cloud, have you seen this post? Why doesn't Black appear to fight a few celestial stairway duels to shatter these doubts? As an old fan of Black, I feel very uncomfortable, but no matter how much I say, I can't change these doubts. Violent-tempered woman, I can't talk anymore. I'm going to pack up immediately and follow Big Sister Xian to fight Black's celestial stairway duels. Zhou Jiesin, look at this post. Anyway, Black will always appear in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan looked at the post shared by Zhou Jiesin and gently clicked on it. It was a group chat message in Black's official fan club. There were tens of thousands of messages, and it was impossible to read them all. However, Lin Yuan could read a special feeling from these messages. It turned out that his identity as Black had unknowingly become a lighthouse in many people's hearts. With so many expectations, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that he had been too lazy to fight the celestial stairway. In fact, it was also a kind of neglect of these people. The power of faith contributed by Black's identity to Lin Yuan was now much less than his identity as the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple. Even though Black's identity had not appeared for a long time, the light spot of faith belonging to Black in the shrine was still bright. Since they were all waiting for Black's news. Since it was close to the Radiance 100 sequence, Lin Yuan did not mind letting Black show his face to warm up. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.